Rainbow flicks to pancake flips. Ex-Chelsea and Southampton defender Ken Monku switched up his footballing career to buy a Dutch pancake house. He bought out the shop, which had been his favourite pancake spot as a child, and before long he was mixing the batter and getting behind the stove. Next, Everton legend Thomas Gravesen swapped out the high stakes of the Premier League for those of the poker room. He made over 150 appearances for the Toffees and won the Scottish Premier League with Celtic. Turned out the Danish international was pretty darn good at poker. He racked up a reported £100 million from his Las Vegas adventures. Remember former Chelsea goalkeeper Petr Cech? Turns out football nets weren't the only goals he was pretty handy in front of. After retirement, he became a goaltender in ice hockey. Same skills, very different surface. And he even won a Division 2 title with Guildford Phoenix. For ex-Liverpool centre-back Daniel Agger, it wasn't just fancy footwork that was in his blood. He was also pretty good with his hands. The Denmark international turned to tattoo artistry after he hung up his boots. He'd qualified as a skin artist while at Anfield, and he then became the co-owner of his own tattoo company as well. It's not all glamour for ex-pros, though. 1966 World Cup winner Ray Wilson set up a very different kind of business. He became an undertaker after he retired. Finally, not many people can say they've won both a World Cup and starred in an Oscar-winning film. In fact, there's only one person in the entire world who can say that. Frank Leboeuf, the former Chelsea defender, was part of the 1998 France squad who won the World Cup. He ended up marking Brazil's Ronaldo in the final and helped his side to a 3-0 win. But Leboeuf had already begun acting on the side while he was playing football, and his biggest role came some years after his retirement when he
Good evening, this is Kickoff on talkSPORT, and it's an international special for you because nights simply don't get much bigger than this. I'm Natalie Sawyer, and alongside me in the studio it is the former England defender Micky and also talkSPORT's European football expert Kevin Hatchard, and we are going to keep you right up to date with everything that happens on what is sure to be a dramatic and also nail-biting 3 hours. That is, of course, because of the World Cup playoff semi-finals taking place tonight. We'll be following Wales, Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland as well, as they look to take one giant step towards qualification by making it through to Tuesday's finals. Wales host Bosnia and Herzegovina. The Republic of Ireland face Czechia, and Northern Ireland travel to Italy. We have reporters watching all of the matches, and we'll bring you every moment that matters from these games, and that is even if it goes to the dreaded extra time and penalties. We will be with you all the way. As well as that, we'll be discussing the big topics of the week. So, should Ben White be allowed to link up with the England squad yet again? Can Scotland get out of the group stage for the first time ever? And what shape are the big nations in ahead of this summer's World Cup, which you can hear live on the talkSPORT network. As ever, you can get in touch. As usual, you can call us on 03717 223344. That is also the WhatsApp number. Or you can simply text us to 81089. It's a huge night. Welcome along to this international special of Kickoff on talkSPORT. Goodness me, Micky and Kevin, how are you both doing?
Really good, really good.
Yeah, very good, thank you. I got lost coming to the studio. It's been that long.
I was going to say, it has been a little while since you've been in these. Is this your first time in the brand new studio?
No, second.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Roving
nice
reporter, that's why. He's always out and about at a game.
Absolutely. Showbiz friends with Pep and
Fresh
Michael
air.
Carrick.
That's it. Loving it.
Absolutely. It is an absolutely thrilling night of international football that we will be keeping you right up to date with. A huge night then for Wales, for Northern Ireland, the Republic of Ireland as well, as tonight they have a chance then to take that one step towards the World Cup finals.
We're going all out. We're going all out. We ain't sitting back.
I think he's very experienced now. He's done a fantastic job so far. But the main job is to get us to the World Cup.
The playoff place at the start of the campaign, I think anybody would have taken.
Wales 7, North Macedonia 1.
And if it fails, I can sleep. I can sleep.
Scales is up after it. Scales wins the header. The chance! Yeah! Oh, there's the goal! There's the goal! That's Troy Parrott. That is unbelievable. He scored a hat-trick, and right at the death, Ireland have done it.
Of course I feel a bit nervous because it's such a big game and there's a big, obviously, prize to get to the World Cup.
There's so much hope and belief which we haven't had for a long time, so yeah, we're really looking forward to it, and I honestly think that they've got a great chance of not only winning on Thursday but also winning the final regardless of who they play.
If you are 16 years old, 18 years old in Italy, you probably never seen or never remember Italy playing at the World Cup.
Being the smaller nation with the expectation with obviously the home nation, we come into the game with a little bit more freedom in ourselves.
It's down Bala! Ball towards the near post.
Ooh, well, what a night, as I've already mentioned. And how did we get to this stage? Well, Northern Ireland qualified for the playoffs through their Nations League campaign. As for Wales, well, they were second in their qualifying group. They were 2 points behind Belgium in the end. And if you remember the Republic of Ireland, wow, did they end their campaign on a high. 3 wins in a row, ended up securing second spot behind Portugal. And that is why they now are in the playoffs as well. I mean, Kevin, it's just going to be a fascinating night to see how this all pans out.
It's all about the jeopardy. I mean, this is absolutely enormous for all of the nations involved. You've got nations that haven't been involved for decades in World Cup finals. We talked about Italy. I mean, for them to miss out on one World Cup was disastrous enough. To then miss out on back-to-back World Cups, then they've got all of that kind of rolled over pressure that's on Gennaro Gattuso and his players. And they can only lose, really, because they are absolutely expected to beat Northern Ireland and at least get to this playoff final. But if you look at what happened to them last time, they were at home to North Macedonia, a game they were expected to win. They pummeled North Macedonia, had lots of shots, lots of chances, didn't take any of them, and then got done with a brilliant long-range goal at the end. The one before that were expected to beat Sweden, didn't have the quality to do it, didn't have the attacking power to do it in the end. It was poor coaching as well. So, yeah, this can happen. Yes, Italy are favourites, but Northern Ireland have a puncher's chance.
Yeah, I mean, the Italy story on itself is fascinating, like you've just mentioned there, Kevin. And it's not an easy task for Northern Ireland, certainly. But as a player, how do you think any of them are dealing with the pressure right now when we're talking about just over half an hour or so until kickoff in these games?
Well, the preparation's all done, Natalie. It's down to the players and the manager in the dressing room now. And when you go into that dressing room, it's all about what has been said. And I think as a player, and you talk about being an individual, when you get out on that pitch, leave nothing behind. No, it's a one-off game, whether it's extra time and penalties. But what a special night. It's absolutely incredible. Kevin just mentioned Italy there. I don't think anybody foreseen what we've not seen, if you like, from Italy over the last decade and even more than that. They're one of the powerhouses. Euros, yes, but the World Cup. I think the World Cup will be a better place with Italy in it, but it doesn't work that way, does it?
But that's the really interesting thing, because it's not as if it's some huge decline in Italian football. Everything's gone wrong. They're not producing any young players. Italian club football's a mess. It's not that. They've won a Euros in the middle of it. It's just a really odd situation. But we talk about psychology. Before that big game against Hungary that Ireland had, Jaime Hallgrímsson, the coach, who was formerly in charge of Iceland, he apparently left the players in the dressing room for ages before they went out, and they were thinking, where is the boss? Where's he gone? And apparently he then just popped up at the end and said, why are you waiting for me? This is all about you. So the psychology of it is so important.
So true. It's exactly as you were saying. That was exactly what I was thinking. It's quite clever from Hallgrímsson to think about that and to allow them that time where they're all questioning what's going on, and then actually it all comes down to you. He's done everything he can do, like you say, on the training pitch. He said everything he's had to say in all the meetings and everything. And it all comes down to potentially 90 minutes, a little bit more if there's extra time and penalties as well. What we should point out is that should Wales get past Bosnia and Herzegovina, they will then take on the winner of the Italy-Northern Ireland game. And then, of course, the Republic of Ireland, who are in Prague to take on Czechia. Should they win that, they will then take on either Denmark or North Macedonia. There has already been one result in these playoffs, which we should bring you, and that is that Turkey have beaten Romania by 1-0. It was a second-half goal that was the difference between the two teams from Brighton's Ferdi Kadioglu, which means that Turkey await the winners of Slovakia-Kosovo. And all of those finals will be played on Tuesday, which is going to be another nerve-wracking night, no doubt. Let's talk about the team news. Should we get the team news from these? Yes, let's do that straight away. Let's bring you all the football action latest with Ladbrokes.
The big preview on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes. Get a free bet every week of the season and a big boost every day. That's Ladisfaction. Minimum £5 bet. Conditions apply. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
All right, as I say, we're around about 35 minutes or so away from kickoff in all of these games. So let's take you first of all to the Cardiff City Stadium and find out the teams for Wales, then against Bosnia-Herzegovina. Lawrence Moore, good evening.
Oh, good evening and welcome to a Cardiff City Stadium that's starting to bristle with anticipation. Craig Bellamy leading this Wales team into a playoff which could produce an historic first ever back-to-back World Cup qualification for the nation. Wales missed out on automatic qualification, finishing 2 points behind Belgium. They face a Bosnian side who came within 13 minutes of qualifying automatically from their group. That before Austria grabbed a vital late equaliser in Vienna. Bellamy has said he's going to go flat out today, and if the performance is anything like that 7-1 demolition of North Macedonia in November, the visitors are going to have their work cut out. 4 home qualifying games and Wales scored 15 goals in total. Bellamy's made 2 changes from that win against North Macedonia. Captain Ethan Ampadu and Leicester Loney Jordan James returned from suspension. So it's Cardalo in goals, Nico Williams, Joe Roden, 20-year-old Cardiff centre-back Dylan Lawler and Coventry's Jay De Silva the back 4. Ampadu and James Alanka midfield. Then Bellamy's likely to play Harry Wilson and David Brooks as his 10s, with Dan James off the right and Brennan Johnson off the left. Bosnia's striker and top scorer in qualifying is the now 40 and evergreen Edin Dzeko at a sold-out Cardiff City Stadium. It's Wales against Bosnia.
Lawrence, hi, it's Micky. I'm just having a look at Wales' starting 11 there. He's been able to bring in the big guns, if you like. They're all ready for this game, Craig.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was the big one for him, was that Ampadu and Jordan James both picked up bookings against Liechtenstein and so were suspended for the game against North Macedonia. There was a question on whether he might put Ampadu into central defence because of Ben Davis's injury and Chris Mepham's injury, but look, he really likes young Dylan Lawler. I don't know if you've seen much of him for Cardiff this season. A breakthrough season, a tall, physically strong, great pace and a really good technique. He's got a big future ahead of him, and in his 3 games so far he's played really well, but this is a step up in the class to the teams that he's faced so far.
OK, Lawrence, for now, thank you very much. Let's take you now to Bergamo, where Northern Ireland are going to be taking on Italy. Ian Danta has the lineups.
Good evening to you, Natalie. Well, if Northern Ireland are indeed to reach a first World Cup finals in 40 years, they're going to have to do it the hard way. 2 away games to negotiate, starting tonight in Bergamo against Italy. They're all bidding to play in a World Cup group against Canada, Qatar and Switzerland this summer. Michael O'Neill, let's not forget, led Northern Ireland to their first ever Euros in 2016 during his first spell in charge. Now back in charge, looks to see off Italy, who, as Kevin just mentioned, have failed at this playoff stage of qualifying in their last 2 attempts 4 years ago. That shock defeat by North Macedonia. Gennaro Gattuso is the latest Italian coach charged with getting the Azzurri to a first World Cup since 2014. His last match in charge saw a heavy 4-1 home defeat by Norway at the end of the main qualification campaign. His starting 11 has a good few familiar names for us Premier League supporters. Gianluigi Donnarumma of Manchester City in goal, for example. 3 at the back: Gianluca Mancini, Alessandro Bastoni and Arsenal's Riccardo Calafiori. Then 5 across the middle: Matteo Politano, Nicola Barella, Manuel Locatelli, Newcastle Sandro Tonali, who's passed a fitness test, and Federico Di Marco. Up front, former Everton striker Moise Keane alongside Matteo Retegui. Northern Ireland cannot call upon the Premier League experience of Dan Ballard or Conor Bradley here, both absent through injury. They go with a 3-5-1-1. Pierce Charles in goal, Trey Hume, Paddy McNair and Ruari McConville in defence. In front of them, from right to left in midfield, Terry Devlin, Shay Charles, Ethan Galbraith, Justin Devaney and Brodie Spencer, with Isaac Price playing just in behind frontman Jamie Donnelly. Winner goes to Wales or Bosnia next Tuesday evening. In Bergamo, it's Italy versus Northern Ireland.
Ian Danta, thank you very much. And then to the game between Czechia and Republic of Ireland. Mark Wilson.
Yeah, good evening. The Republic looked doomed, didn't they, in their qualifying hopes? 1 point from their opening 3 games, but they secured the qualification playoff spot with 3 wins in a row, including that dramatic 3-2 come from behind win in Budapest, which sealed their playoff spot. They've not been to the World Cup since 2002. They make 2 changes from that win in Hungary. Liam Scales is suspended, Josh Cullen is injured, so in come Taylor and Manning. There's still no Evan Ferguson up front, so Troy Parrott, who got 5 goals in those last 2 qualifying games, starts up top. The former England under-19 captain Harvey Vale stands by for a Republic debut from the bench. Callaghan goal, then a back 3, O'Brien, Collins and O'Shea. It's Coleman, Taylor, Malumbi and Manning across the middle, with Ogbenny and Azaz up in support of Troy Parrott. Czechia have got a new manager. Miroslav Kubek came in after they failed for automatic qualification. They named the Wolves man Ladislav Krejci in a back 3. Ex-West Ham star Vladimir Soufal is in the midfield, and Patrick Schick of Bayer Leverkusen is fit and starts. West Ham's Thomas Souček is on the bench. Winner of this one will take on Denmark or North Macedonia at home on Tuesday night. It's Czechia against the Republic of Ireland.
Mark, thank you very much. So that sets the scene then for the home nations and the Republic of Ireland as well. It is going to be an intriguing evening, that is for sure, here on talkSPORT. That was all thanks to Ladbrokes.
The big preview on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes. Ever dreamt of playing at Anfield? Place a £5 bet builder at selected odds on the Ladbrokes app and you just might. 25 plus, terms and conditions apply. Gambleaware.org.
And of course, we won't just keep you up to date with all of those games. There are the other playoffs that are taking place. There's also an interesting friendly that's being staged in Boston between Brazil and France, which will no doubt keep you right across. Kevin Hatchard will be very busy, put it that way. Right, coming next, we're going to bring you the latest odds and we'll head over to Italy to get their perspective on this game against Northern Ireland tonight. You're tuning in to Kick Off with Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over. BeGambleAware.org.
Mo Salah will leave Liverpool on a free this summer. Here's a crazy stat for you. Mo Salah either scored or assisted 37% of the goals Liverpool scored in the last 9 seasons.
Yeah, he's, and I think it was Hugh Wisencroft that said there that the awakening of Liverpool was down to Klopp and Salah. Those two worked in such sync. Klopp made Salah the player that he is, or allowed him to be the player that he is.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at someone in North London who, I'm not comparing Saka to Salah, but if you put that Saka into a Klopp's team, you would see. So Salah's got more goals and assists than Saka.
What you're saying is Arteta's holding back Saka?
Oh, 100%. Liverpool fans, Arsenal fans know that. 100%. That's not up for debate, is it? I'm not opening up a debate here. I'm just stating the fact that Mo Salah's got more goals and assists this season in all comps than Saka.
Mm.
Now, if Klopp had Saka at the time that he was going through that brilliant time at Liverpool, you'd see a totally different Saka. Arteta's getting a different role out of him. There's no way Mohamed Salah would not be the player he is if he played under Arteta. Don't even go there with me.
Okay.
Don't have that argument because I'll fall out with you.
Okay, but I don't think Saka can do what Salah's done.
Well, no. But what I'm trying to get at is that Saka is being held back and doing a job in a different way in the same position.
Mm.
Kick-off on talkSPORT. Thank you very much for tuning in to us this Thursday evening. I'm Natalie Sawyer, and alongside me it's European football expert Kevin Hatchard and the former Sunderland and England defender and talkSPORT's Manchester correspondent, more importantly, Micky Gray. Shortly we're going to head over to Italy to get the very latest on the game tonight between Italy and Northern Ireland in what is a pivotal evening for Michael O'Neill's team. There's also the Republic of Ireland in action. Wales too, as they look to try and get themselves to the World Cup this summer. We'll keep you across everything, of course, that happens. But right now, let's bring you the latest odds from Ladbrokes.
Odds update on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes. Get a free bet every week of the season and a big boost every day. That's Ladisfaction. Minimum £5 bet. Conditions apply. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
Good evening, Chris Wood. How you doing, Chris?
Yeah, not too bad, Natalie. How are you?
Yes, very, very well. We're all going to be keeping right across all the permutations, you know, what one win means for what team and where they'll end up, who they'll be playing in, of course, the final, and then what group potentially they then go into as well. So as a broad picture, the World Cup semi-finals, these playoffs, how are you seeing them?
Well, so we'll start with the Czech Republic against Ireland game. The Czechs are very slightly odds on to win in 90 minutes there. They're 19-20. Ireland are 29-10. The draw's in at 12-5. The Czechs are 1-2 to qualify, which makes Ireland about a 6-4 shot. I think it's going to be a very, very tight game, that one. You can back under 2.5 goals at 4-6, which I think is fair enough. I think if Ireland do win, it's going to be by the odd goal. You can back them to win 1-0 at 8-1. The Czechs to win by exactly 1 goal at 5-2. Obviously, the main goal threat for the Czech Republic's going to be Patrick Schick. He's there 9-2 to score the first goal, 9-5 to score any time. The Republic will be looking towards Troy Parrott to do the business again. He's 11-2 to score the first goal and 9-4 to score any time. But the Czechs have scored a lot from set pieces during qualifying. They got one very, very big lad, the Jan Koleresk, Thomas Chordy. He's 6'6", playing through the middle. He's 5-1 to score the first goal, 11-5 to score any time. And Robin Hranek, the big guy at the back, he's 28-1 to score the first goal and 14-1 to score any time. But I think it'll be a very tight game.
Okay, so that's the game in Prague. What about Wales, Bosnia, Herzegovina, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, Wales, decent fouls for that. They're 7-10 to win in 90 minutes, 14-5 to draw, and Bosnia are 4-1. Obviously, like Harry Wilson's been the main man in the Premier League and for Wales this season. He's 4-1 to score the first goal, 7-5 to score any time. But I think Brennan Johnson will play through the middle. He's 6-1 to score the first goal, 13-5 to score any time. Could be a little bit of value there. And obviously the Edin Dzeko, who he's 40 years old now, is still the main man for Bosnia and Herzegovina. He's 8-1 to score the first goal and 16-5 to score any time. But I think that game will be a lot more open than the others. Bosnia have gone quite attacking. Wales are quite attacking as well. You can back over 2.5 goals at 10-11 and over 3.5 at 23-10.
And obviously there was that game in Italy as well. As I mentioned, Italy, Northern Ireland, Chris.
Yeah, it's going to be a real struggle for Northern Ireland, to be fair. They're 11-1 to win in 90 minutes, 11-2 to qualify for the next round. Italy are strong favourites there, 2-7 to win the game in 90 minutes and 1-11 to qualify. But I do think, again, that's going to be a really tight game. Northern Ireland do all of their playing without the ball. I think they got one of the lowest average possession percentages in the whole of qualifying. You can back under 2.5 goals there at 10-11, or Italy to win by just the 1 goal at 13-5. I really like DiMarco for Italy as well. He plays a little bit more advanced for them. He's 14-1 to score the first goal, 13-2 to score any time, and he's the leading assist maker in Serie A by a long way. And he's 21-10 to get an assist there. Could be a little bit of value.
So pressure on 16 teams coming into these games tonight. Tomorrow, just a friendly for England when they host Uruguay at Wembley. Well, we've got you on, Chris. We might as well ask you the latest odds for that one.
Yeah, no, I mean, England are strong favourites. They're going to get a test from Uruguay, though. England are 1-2 to win, 16-5 to draw, and 11-2 Uruguay there. I think it'll be relatively open. I think, England obviously trying out, new players, looking to impress. You can back over 2.5 goals there at evens. Both teams to score a shade of odds against at 23-20. And Cole Palmer will be looking to prove something after a pretty disappointing season by his standards. He's 9-2 to score the first goal, 17-10 to score any time. And James Garner will be hoping that he gets a start. If he does get a start, he's got 6 assists for Everton this year. Obviously, his dead ball delivery is fantastic, and he's 15-2 to get an assist tomorrow night, which I think looks pretty fair, given that he'll probably be on set pieces.
Brilliant, Chris. Thank you for being with us this evening. That was Chris Wood from Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over begamblerware.org.
The big preview on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes. Ever dreamt of playing at Anfield? Place a £5 bet builder at selected odds on the Ladbrokes app, and you just might. 25 plus. Terms and conditions apply. Gamblerware.org.
All right, let's focus on one of the home nations then, and a huge night for Michael O'Neill's Northern Ireland as they head to Bergamo to face Italy then in this World Cup playoff semi-final on a night which is just as significant for the hosts. As Kevin was telling us, of course, earlier on, failure to qualify for this year's tournament would see them go at least 16 years between World Cup appearances, which seems unthinkable for a four-time winner. So let's see how the Italians are feeling ahead of this game and speak to Italian football expert Daniela Fisichella. Daniela, how are you doing?
Good evening from Bergamo. Well, the environment and the feeling here is excitement, of course, but also nervy, bordering on hysteria, at least in the hours before kickoff, because Italy are facing a challenge to stay relevant in the world of football, to do not descend into the abyss of the unknown, to not qualify for the third consecutive times. And this game has been pictured as almost as a generational event. Among the many fans here in the Bergamo Stadium, there are a few teenagers that are spotted with a big sign that says, "Take us to our first World Cup." Because if you are 15, 16 in Italy, well, you never seen Italy at the World Cup. And of course, thinking about it, it's really incredible what we experience. So yes, there is a lot of excitement, but also a lot of fear tonight after what happened 4 years ago in Palermo.
Daniele, Gennaro Gattuso, really interesting choice because, yes, he was a World Cup winner as a player, but his coaching record, very mixed.
Yeah, absolutely. His coaching record is not great, to put it mildly, but since he took over Italy, he has done what he was been asked for him to do, which was basically qualify them at least for the playoff. Yes, of course, in the process there was that defeat against Norway, the crushing defeat 4-1 at the San Siro. But for the other games, he's done all right. Of course, he hasn't faced a top side, but tonight he's not tasked against a top side either. Northern Ireland, only 69th in the world. But let's make no secret about it. Gattuso has put his career on the line. He knows that if he fails tonight and perhaps in the potential final on Tuesday, his managerial career is really in danger to be wiped out, to disappear for somebody that has changed so many jobs and is being considered a risky appointment only 5 or 6 months ago when he took over from Luciano Spalletti at the helm of the Azzurri.
Just briefly, Daniel, tell us, why is this game taking place in Bergamo, maybe not in Rome or Milan, where we might be more used to seeing Italy games?
That was a choice precisely from Gennaro Gattuso. They wanted a small stadium that could easily be filled out, and in fact it is packed to the rafters. To my right, by the way, there are at least 1,000 Northern Irish fans, but there have been many more today in Bergamo that I've seen, and also because this is the home of Atalanta, where there are a few players in these national teams, and perhaps Italy thought that if they played in San Siro or in Rome, maybe the alliances to Inter, Milan, Roma or Lazio would have perhaps been a detriment to some of the Italian national players who perhaps could have got booed if things didn't go their way. So they wanted a small stadium, a stadium that is packed, and a stadium that, of course, is going to be 100% behind the Azzurri tonight. But of course, let's see how it goes, because as I said, it's very, very nervy here.
Well, Daniela, we appreciate you taking the time to speak to us. Best of luck. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you very much.
I mean, it would be unthinkable to think Italy to not qualify yet again. In fact, they would actually become the first former winner to not qualify for 3 tournaments in a row, which nobody wants that on their record sheet.
No, they don't. And you know, Gattuso's been talking about the pressure, and he's been talking about the fact that he's been having to take sleeping pills, because if he doesn't take them, he's up at 4:30 in the morning, as he put it, wide-eyed like a bat. which interesting reference, not quite David Attenborough, but you get the idea. And it just does show you, Daniele's absolutely right. You know, his club career as a coach has been really hit and miss. And he's had some successes, but a lot of failures as well. And he's stormed out of a lot of jobs. He's a very fiery character. That's no surprise. He was as a player as well. So there's no big shock there. Yeah. But what you're dealing with is a guy that really needs this to work. And to be fair to him, you know, this means so much to him. You can see that. You can absolutely see that. I think the mistake they made with Luciano Spalletti before him was that Spalletti is a great coach. He showed that by winning the Scudetto with Napoli, but he needs time to get his ideas across. It's quite complex the way he wants to play. Players just didn't get it. They just couldn't assimilate that information in time. Gattuso is going to be more simplistic, but maybe that will work for international football.
And don't forget, the winner then of Italy, Northern Ireland will take on the winner of Wales and Bosnia. And the winner of that tie overall will then go into what is Group B in the World Cup, which will see them take on one of the hosts, Canada, Qatar and Switzerland. So a huge carrot there for whichever team gets through. You're tuning in to kick off on talkSPORT tonight. Next up, we'll turn our attention to the England squad, that ahead of their friendlies with Uruguay and Japan.
Think about it. The only person that's not going to lose anything out of this deal is Mo Salah. And when he signs a 2-year contract and got himself a new contract and got himself the highest paid and one of the highest paid players in the Premier League, it was because Liverpool managed to achieve, or probably on his behalf, a 2-year deal that they didn't particularly want. I think they wanted a 1-year deal. And when we heard Virgil van Dijk, the caller was talking about the commentary of Virgil van Dijk and Mo Salah, what we heard was a load of old rubbish from Virgil van Dijk and Mo Salah about how they'd heard nothing from the club, no one had spoken to them, no one had given them any indications, all that nonsense, because clearly agents would have been speaking to the club. What they hadn't heard at that time is, yes, you can have precisely what you want. That's what they hadn't heard at that particular time. So when we use that as part of the architecture of a conversation to justify people's behaviour...
No, I think you're right there. I don't think they did come out and say, I'm staying. They didn't. He's got it wrong. They actually did play the game.
Of course they did. So in this instance, when you look at Mo Salah has orchestrated a circumstance where he engineered a contract as a result of his previous worth that Liverpool gave him enormous amounts of money. He hasn't turned up until his outburst. He then had an outburst that's orchestrated this outcome. And as a result of that outburst, if you follow the line dots and probably join them up, Liverpool are the ones that are going to lose out on a player that they've paid 400 grand a week for that has barely turned up this season, that has got a longer-term contract that was designed to protect their interests, which has done the polar opposite, and has got them out of a transfer fee. And the only person that will not be 1 single cent out of pocket in any shape or form, performance-wise or value-wise, is Mohamed Salah.
have thought a sporting event's halftime show could have a bigger impact than the game itself. That seems to be the case with the Super Bowl halftime show. In 2024, Usher brought in an audience of 180 million worldwide, the biggest in the event's history. But how did singing and dancing get to be the centrepiece of America's biggest sporting event? The first Super Bowl was held in 1967. Initially, the halftime show was a display purely for the fans in the stadium, with marching bands, dancers and American patriotism for all to see. And that's what it was for the first few years. Disney had a go with a few questionable displays in the 1980s, but it wasn't until '93 that we got the first glimpse into the future of halftime shows. Michael Jackson's stellar performance gave NFL execs something to think about. A raft of massive names followed, including Diana Ross, U2, Janet Jackson, who gave us the most famous or infamous wardrobe malfunction of all time. So how many people are involved? To give you an idea of the scale, Rihanna's 2023 performance included 800 people, and experts reckon it cost $13 million. What's even more impressive than some of the names on the bill every year is the fact they do it for free. The artists know the exposure they'll get from doing the show will rocket them up the charts across the world. The Super Bowl halftime show will be a fixture in pop culture for years to come. So the question is, who next?
Good evening, this is Kickoff on talkSPORT, and it is a busy night of international football, and we're talking in particular, of course, the World Cup playoffs involving 16 European teams that have to be whittled down to 4 that will make it to this summer's World Cup. And of course, we're talking about Northern Ireland, Wales and the Republic of Ireland, all with a chance of making it to this summer's finals. They all kick off at 7:45. We'll keep you regularly updated with everything that happens. But we're just going to park that for now and just talk England at this moment in time, because ahead of their game with Uruguay tomorrow night, live on talkSPORT, Thomas Tuchel, as we know, named a 35-man squad for their upcoming friendlies with Uruguay and then Japan, which is on Tuesday. And Tuchel has been speaking to our England correspondent Faye Carruthers and was asked about the inclusion of Ben White, who's been invited back into the fold after he left Qatar, if you remember, a few years ago. This is what he had to say.
I think it's important we kind of clear up the Ben White situation. This is the first time he's been called back playing for England since he left Qatar in 2022. Can you talk me through your decision of why you brought Ben back into camp and perhaps why you chose him over Trent?
First of all, I had this call when I took the job with Ben and asked him if he would play for England, if he would be happy to come back to play for England. He was straight away very excited and said, yeah, there's absolutely no doubt that he would love to come back. Then it never happened because of injuries, and we called up other players, and he struggled a little bit to get his minutes at Arsenal. So now lately we had a late call-up because Gerald Kwanzaa pulled out because of an injury, and then he played Champions League, and I saw him live in the cup final against Manchester City. The profile is very similar to Gerald Kwanzaa. He's a player who could also play as a centre-back. So we thought this makes sense for us. We have the same profile of player. We get to know him finally in person and see if the situation is as comfortable as everyone hopes. It is so far. I guess there are some players coming from Friday and Saturday who were with him in the World Cup, and I think there will be also some explanation and some explanation about the situation to clear the air. I think this is necessary to be then totally free. But until now, he had a good camp. He was very involved on and off the pitch, and he showed everyone that he's happy to be back.
I was going to ask you whether there would be kind of clear the air talks between Ben and some of the players that were out in Qatar. But actually, I think some England fans will still be questioning whether or not he should wear an England shirt, having left England back in 2022. I know that you weren't in charge then, obviously, so there's very little you can say in terms of the situation itself. But from the few training sessions that you've had with Ben, and Nonny has told us that, he's really proud to be playing for England again. What about his character do perhaps the England fans need to know to be able to be supporting him back playing for England again?
I feel him very shy. I feel him very shy and sensitive, and who needs the trust and the confidence from his players around and from the staff, which we hope we can show him, and we hope he feels from us. I am not saying that he didn't feel that before. I can just say what I think now, and I don't know the reason and the reason behind what happened in Qatar. So we take it from there. It was top behavior, top performances until now. There's of course a chance that he plays for us tomorrow. Why not? Because we called him up. Hopefully, supporters give him a fair chance. Some things are behind closed doors. Talks between coaches and players are behind closed doors, and talks between players are behind closed doors, and they need to trust us. That I'm not even aware with how many people Ben spoke, because some things I will not get involved in. It's players' business, and we trust him. We trust our group, and hopefully the fans can trust us.
Really interesting interview there with Thomas Tuchel, with our England correspondent Faye Carruthers, who joins us now live. Faye, good evening to you. Really, really insightful what he had to say about Ben White, especially towards the end there, where he said, we trust him, so hopefully everyone else can trust him too, basically.
Yeah, exactly that, Natalie. He really wants the supporters to give him a fair chance, and there will be some England supporters. I've spoken to many over the years, and some of our own team question whether or not Ben White is the right player to be called back, having left England back in 2022. And there was a really interesting debate on kick-off yesterday, or the day before actually, Tuesday night, between Hugh Wozencroft and Scott Minto as to whether or not we should see Ben White in an England shirt again. Until we know exactly what it was that happened, until there's a little bit more, understanding and clarity on that, I think there still will be some people upset with what happened back in 2022 and him leaving the England camp in the circumstances that he did. However, having sat down and spoken to Thomas Tuchel there, it very much seems as if this is a clean slate from an England point of view in-house in terms of the team, the players, etc. And really interesting that he said that he thinks there will be clear the air talks, because there are clearly some players that Ben White hasn't spoken to that will be coming back into the fold on Friday and Saturday, having been given some time off by Thomas Tuchel with this split camp that he's decided to have. So we may find out a little bit more. It may equally still stay in-house, and then there will be questions from England fans first and foremost. But having sat down and spoken to Noni Madueke, additionally, who had some, really positive things to say regarding Ben White and his character and what he's like as a teammate, I think that there are many players who are willing to kind of move on to the next phase of Ben White's career if it is for him to be called up repeatedly again for England. But whether or not the players, if he does take to the pitch at Wembley tomorrow against Uruguay, whether some of the fans will feel that or not, we'll have to wait and see. But Thomas Tuchel's message very much is he hopes that he gets given a fair chance.
Faye, does this just underline the fact that Thomas Tuchel is a pragmatist who will make surprising decisions if he thinks it benefits the team and gets them closer to the end goal? Because he will have a very specific idea, I'm sure, about what Ben White can bring the squad with and without the ball. And all of the outside noise has never really bothered him, has it?
No, it hasn't, and he is a pragmatist. You're exactly right. It's all about the collective. It's all about the team. Right from the beginning, since he was given this job, that is all he's talked about. They have to be a together team and move forward as one. He also talked about the profile of Ben White and the fact that he's, very similar in profile to Jarell Quansah, can also play at centre-back. That versatility is also really important. Additionally, he can also play brilliantly down the right-hand side, which we've seen with Noni Madueke, and he does for Arsenal. So there are lots of attributes on the pitch that most definitely, lend itself to him being selected once Jarell Quansah came out. And, he did confirm actually to radios after our conversation that he has spoken to Trent Alexander-Arnold, because I think that was most of our reaction was, okay, well, if he's calling up Ben White over Trent Alexander-Arnold, is there a question mark here? But actually he's clarified that since and said that he's spoken to Trent. It was a very difficult conversation that he had to have with him, and the profile of Ben White actually fits the way he wants to play with this England team, and the profile of other players in and around him more than Trent's position does. But he has also confirmed that Trent isn't fully out of the picture for the World Cup at all. And, I've said this before, Thomas Tuchel loves to throw a little grenade in every now and again and do something completely different to what any of us expect him to do. It keeps us all on our toes. And actually, I think that's a huge positive going into the World Cup, because, why give your opponents, absolutely every detail of what you're going to do? So, Trent Alexander-Arnold is not completely out of the picture, but the way that Thomas Tuchel wants to play at the moment, he thinks that Ben White is the best profile of player to replace Jarell Quansah, who was originally brought into the squad and has been a mainstay apart from injury, preventing him from getting any more than one cap. He has been a mainstay called up consistently by Thomas Tuchel.
It's fascinating, isn't it? Like you say, it's clear that Tuchel wants to control the narrative around this England squad, without a doubt. And just in terms of the England squad, Faye, just as a last question for you, what's the feel you're getting from them in this camp so far?
Yeah, really good, competitive, without a doubt. They all know that, there are 11 players who effectively, well, Thomas did say to me last week, if the World Cup was tomorrow, the 11 players he's given a rest to, because they've played the most amount of minutes this season, would be on the plane. So the other players who are out, 19 outfield players that are involved at the moment, and the 5 goalkeepers, that they know that this is their opportunity to shine. They are almost the fringe players, if you like, the players that have to fight for that starting spot or impact sub spot. So definitely the scrutiny is there, and you can see the competitiveness within that. But equally at the same time, respectful teammates, and all knowing that that they want to be part of the squad that goes out to North America, and they're all desperate to have a ticket. And if you want to have a ticket, you need to impress against Uruguay.
Faye, as always, brilliant. Thank you very much. That's our England correspondent, Faye Carruthers, then, who has just been in conversation with the England manager, Thomas Tuchel. Micky, really interesting to hear what he had to say about Ben White. And it has been a debate ever since he had this call up. And I think that the key thing that obviously that he has said about the reason they decided to pick him is that versatility that he brings. The fact that he can play as a fullback, he can play as a centre-back, for example. And it feels as though that's one of the big things that Thomas Tuchel is big on in this England squad, showing players with versatility, having players with versatility.
Well, firstly, I think we've got enough centre-halves. I think I would find it very bizarre if Ben White eventually was to play centre-half for England in a World Cup. I think the big thing for me is, I don't know if you agree with this, Kevin, as well, is disruption. I think he has to be under the spotlight so much, Ben White, in this camp, to see how he kind of gets on with his teammates, what he's going to be like in camp from day to day, not just while they're training, but also around the hotel area as well. If he integrates with the rest of the players, I'm sure he will. Because the big thing for me is, we're going to a World Cup, which is a long period. We want to be there right until the very end. Can Ben White hack that? Can he handle being in a situation where he's in a vicinity of the rest of his teammates and nothing else, really? Because they're not going to be able to go out and do what they want to do. They might get the odd one or 2 days off to be able to do that. Has Ben White deserved his place in that England squad? Has he done enough for Arsenal this season?
What do you think?
Personally, well, he's number 2 right back for me. I don't know if you agree with that. But if everybody's fit at Arsenal, he doesn't play. That's a concern for me. The Trent thing was quite interesting, that he's now made the phone call. Having people maybe ask him the question, why did you not speak to Trent when you left him out of the squad? I know he's done it before, but getting so close to the World Cup, I've still got this little bee in my bonnet about Trent Alexander-Arnold. I've just seen him play against Manchester City twice. And the question mark over Trent when he was at Liverpool, and I think it'll still be there till he retires, is he a good 1v1 defender? Can you rely on him? Is he disciplined enough to play as a right back? I think he's learned a little bit since he's gone to Real Madrid. I know he was injured when he first went there, but the games I've seen him play, he can just be a defender. But to take away the ability he's got in the final third, I'm kind of surprised at that, because there's going to be certain games when we get to the latter stages, quarterfinals, semi-finals, and hopefully final, that you might need somebody to unlock a back line. And there's nobody better than Trent Alexander-Arnold. I'm not criticising Ben White here, but out of the two, because of his background and what's gone on before with Ben White, it's not a criticism, but I think going into a big major tournament like a World Cup, I think you need players that you can rely on.
I think it's about profiles. I think he's very, very hot on, rightly or wrongly, how players are with and without the ball. He has really specific ideas about players. If you look at when he was at Bayern, for example, Joshua Kimmich has been Bayern's defensive midfielder, if you like, or certainly midfield organiser for years, like hundreds of games. Tuchel went in there and said, I need a 6. He's not that. And he was dropping Kimmich, and it was causing a real stir in Germany. And Kimmich was becoming really dismayed by it. It sent shockwaves through Bayern and German football. But he's unapologetic about it. If he's made his judgment, it's very difficult to sway him from that. And he's clearly made a decision about Alexander-Arnold. Now, whether he can change his mind somehow in the last couple of months of the season, I guess we'll see. But I'd be surprised.
We should say that the World Cup playoffs are underway, by the way. Goalless in all of the nations involving, all of the games involving the Republic of Ireland, Northern Ireland and Wales. But we will, of course, update you with our reporters who are keeping right across these games as well. I mean, it's interesting you say that about he's sort of stuck in his ways and that. But does it not make you think the fact that he's brought 35 players into this squad, there's an element of it's still a little up in the air?
Well, he's done something that nobody else has ever done before, Natalie, in kind of splitting the camp. And I understand the reasons for that. You know, if you've played a lot of minutes like they have, 3,500 to 4,000, isn't Kevin, those 11 players, I can understand the players that he wants to see a little bit more of. He's probably got 16 or 17 players in his head now. If they are fit, come the end of the season, they're already in the squad. He'll have to keep that very tight-knit and close to his own brain and his coaching staff. But I still think there's opportunities there. I mean, we can go through the whole squad, and hopefully we can do. We'll get time to do that. I'm just looking at the games as I'm speaking to you.
It's distracting.
Czech just came very close. Ireland have just came very close. But yeah, he has to... These two games are massive. And people might not think that, but I think the Uruguay game is huge for players. The training camp itself, not just on the pitch, but I think personality-wise as well. Who can I rely on to take away for 5 to 6 weeks who I know are going to be there and they're not going to be homesick, they're not going to get let down if they're not in the starting 11. All these things the manager has to think about.
A couple of early goals, by the way, in some of the other games. Sweden have taken a 1-0 lead against Ukraine. That game in Valencia in Spain. Ukraine not playing at home for obvious reasons. And it's Viktor Gyökeres who's got the goal for Sweden very early on in that one. And Slovakia have gone 1-0 up at home to Kosovo. Early goal from Valiant in that one.
The Sweden situation is quite bizarre when you consider their qualifying group. They were absolutely shocking.
Yes.
They only got through because of the Nations League and how they performed in that to get into these playoffs. But they finished bottom and didn't win a single game. And when you consider some of the talents that they had, Gyökeres and Elanga and Isak, for example, I think they only scored 4 goals in the whole of the qualifying campaign.
Yeah, it was dreadful. Jon Dahl Tomasson was in charge for most of that campaign. Yeah. Graham Potter's come in. People might think that was a bit left field, but he's got a really good reputation in Sweden. He took Östersund from the 4th tier all the way into Europe, won the Swedish Cup with them. Speaks pretty good Swedish, I have to say. He spoke Swedish at his unveiling. Now, he's only had 2 games in charge, but I think the Swedish FA have looked at it and thought this is the guy. even if this doesn't work out, this is the guy for the Euros. This is the guy maybe for the next World Cup. So he's signed an extended deal. I think they realised they needed a bit of stability. And if they can come through and get a World Cup place, I think that will just rehabilitate his reputation, because after his time at Chelsea and West Ham, he's at a bit of a low ebb.
Yeah, as you say, then an early goal for Sweden against Ukraine. If they win that, they'll take on the winner of Poland, Albania, and then the overall victor. Then we'll go into Group F with the Netherlands, Japan, and Tunisia. Let's check in then with the home nations and the Republic of Ireland as well. Let's take you to Cardiff first of all for Wales against Bosnia and Herzegovina. Lawrence Moore, how's it started?
Yeah, Wales 0, Bosnia-Herzegovina 0. It's been a really good tempo from the home team, and as expected, Wilson and Brooks are playing as 2 10s. That leaves Wales without a traditional number 9. We've seen Memic booked for a cynical rugby tackle style stop on Harry Wilson as he went racing over the halfway line, and there's been some pretty physical tackles put in by the visitors so far. They certainly, as the ball is flung into the box via a long throw and it comes through to Carl Darlow, who collects and bowls it away to Nico Williams. But yeah, real clash of styles. The visitors really big and physical, significantly bigger than Wales, but the pace and movement of Wales front four in Wilson, Brooks, James and Johnson certainly causing them problems early on. 9 minutes gone, Wales 0, Bosnia-Herzegovina 0.
Thank you very much. And of course, if Wales win this one, they'll take on the winner of Italy, Northern Ireland. Ian Danta.
8.5 minutes gone. Italy 0, Northern Ireland 0. Northern Ireland had started solidly enough, but conceded 2 corners, which caused them problems first. A Tonali looping header dropped just wide of the far post in the first corner. The second wasn't cleared properly by Northern Ireland. The ball was floated across to the right, and Federico Di Marco, the left wing-back, coming in from the left-hand side, got a shot and goal. It was well pushed out by young Pierce Charles, winning just his 9th cap for Northern Ireland, and it almost deflected into the path of Sandro Tonali right in front, but Northern Ireland managed to smuggle the ball clear. 9 minutes gone in Bergamo. Italy 0, Northern Ireland 0.
And of course the Republic of Ireland are in action there in Prague, taking on Czechia. Mark Wilson's keeping a check on this one.
Yeah, Czechia 0, Republic of Ireland 0, but it's been all the Republic in the opening exchanges. Chidozie Ogbeni won an early corner, Ryan Manning whipped it in, ball fell edge of the box. Jason Malumbi shot deflected in the end cleared, but then another Republic of Ireland attack, ball fell edge of the box. Nathan Collins of Brentford smashed a shot first time from 20 yards out, took a deflection off a defender, hit the crossbar, went behind for a corner. From that corner it was Collins again, this time with a head, 6 yards out, hits the target. He probably scores, but he pushed it wide. But it's been a really promising start for the Republic. Czechia look a little bit nervous on home soil here. We've had 11 minutes gone. It's Czechia 0, Republic of Ireland 0.
Okay, so no goals as of yet in all of those key games, but we will continue to update you on them. And we'll be keeping right across Brazil-France, which is a friendly taking place in Boston, and one of the venues, in fact, for this summer's World Cup as well. You're tuning in to Kick-Off on talkSPORT. We'll continue our discussion on the England squad next.
Listen, it's hard to put this in order, so don't judge me on the order.
No, I don't want any order off you. I
so
just want your top 10.
Thierry Henry, Alan Shearer, Rooney, Salah, Gerrard, Patrick Vieira, Kevin De Bruyne, Aguero, Lampard, and one player to finish it off. Yes, didn't win anything at this club, but when he was at his best that season for Spurs, Gareth Bale. He was unbelievable.
Yeah. Right, now
Go on, dig me out then. Go on.
No, the obvious thing to do, 2 names that spring to mind, would hit you with them. But unlike most people, I'm going to commend you and say yes, with the vast majority of them. I mean, it's impossible to put. Do you know something? What I would say to you is this: I don't think anybody would have any arguments probably with 7 of your 10.
Yeah.
You might have one or two that your own favourites, like you say, you enjoy watching, and they're special to you. Henry, Shearer, absolutely different level.
Yes.
Different level. Absolutely different
Agreed.
level. And you've obviously, after that, you've got Rooney, Salah, Gerrard, for me as well, would come into the equation. Lampard's absolutely in the equation. The two, yes. The two that I would maybe look at and say consider themselves slightly unlucky. I don't see Harry Kane. I don't see Ryan Giggs.
Yep.
You've not got Roy Keane in it, have you?
No.
You know, so there's maybe 3 that would that would certainly be in some people's top
100%.
10, Gab.
Over the years, we've been treated to some amazing exhibition events in sports. Some become iconic, but many fail to live up to the hype. So what are some of the most anticlimactic exhibitions? Technically, it wasn't an exhibition because it ended up being sanctioned as a pro fight, but it basically was. 2024 saw Mike Tyson return to the ring to fight YouTuber Jake Paul. The event, which Paul won, was streamed by 65 million people on Netflix, making it the most streamed sporting event ever at the time. But many complained of buffering and freezing. And as for the fight itself, well, it was considered an entertaining disaster. I mean, it wasn't prime Tyson. He was 58. And after the fight, Paul, who was 27 at the time, said he'd actually gone easy on Tyson towards the end. Now, Mayweather-McGregor in 2017 was a better watch, despite Mayweather going rope-a-dope early on, but it was way too expensive. Pay-per-view was 75 quid, and in the stadium, the cheapest ticket was over 370. Now, this next one you could have watched for free, only because the pay-per-view had streaming issues, so they had to open it out. I'm talking about Tiger versus Phil in 2018, which was nicknamed The Match. Massive names and massive rivals going head-to-head. On paper, it worked. In reality, it didn't. The two players were mic'd up, so we all thought we'll get fascinating insight. We'll be able to hear them insult each other for 18 holes. But what we actually got was more heavy breathing and sniffles. And for two GOATs, the golf itself was bang average. And speaking of GOATs, let's end with Messi and Ronaldo. In 2023, an exhibition between PSG and the Riyadh All-Star 11 saw them share a pitch for possibly the final time. To be fair, it was a goal fest, which PSG won 5-4, and Messi and Ronaldo both scored. But it was obvious they were past their prime. El Clasico, this was not. And with it being in Saudi, the
This is Kickoff on talkSPORT. We've got to take you to Prague. There's drama. There's a penalty. Mark Wilson.
Yeah, Troy Parrott about to take a penalty for the Republic of Ireland. It was awarded after a VAR intervention. Referee on the field didn't give it. It came after Nathan Collins was fouled. It was a pretty soft one, but there was contact. The ball went up the other end. Actually, Czechia had a shot that Kelleher did, well, it was straight at Kelleher, saved it well. But then the referee was drawn to the sideline. It's Troy Parrott, 5 in 2 in qualifying, and he's got another one. His keeper went the right way, but he couldn't keep it out. And Troy Parrott's goal-scoring heroics continue for the Republic of Ireland. Ireland. A deserved early lead here in Prague, and the Irish fans in the crowd are going crazy. It's Czechia 0, Republic of Ireland 1.
Oh, so the Republic of Ireland lead then in Prague. Let's get the thoughts of Kevin Hatchard, European football expert, and Micky Gray as well, who's in the studio, the former Sunderland defender. Was that a penalty for you, Micky?
In the Premier League, no.
No.
Well, Derrida it was who made the challenge, but what he's basically tried to do is he's tried to clear his lines, but Collins has got his foot to the ball first, and Derrida's kind of kicked Collins' foot, and he's gone to ground. And I just saw Collins running back to the halfway line before the penalty was taken, and there was kind of a smug smile on his face as if to say, like, I've got one there on you. But what a finish from Parrott there. Brilliant penalty, I have to say. I mean, he's absolutely flying at the moment, but a perfect start for them.
Interesting thing about Czechia now, they've got a long unbeaten run at home in terms of qualifiers. I think it's 17 now in qualifiers for major tournaments. But this is a team that lost to the Faroe Islands a few months ago. Their coach, Ivan Hasek, lost his job. Kobek's come in, and he's a guy that's vastly experienced, but he's into his 70s now. He's a guy who's, had success in Czechia, but not outside it. How are the fans going to react? How are the players going to react? Because I would suggest it's quite a fragile group at the moment. There was a big row about fans not being thanked by the players, and Tomáš Souček, that was the captain at the time, and had that captaincy taken away after all that. So it's not a happy camp at the moment, and they're 1-0 down early.
And as you said, Micky, Troy Parrott is just having a fantastic season, not just, of course, playing for the Republic of Ireland, but in the Netherlands with AZ Alkmaar. I think it's, 14 goals in 23 games. Yeah. You imagine that there might be some clubs looking at him now thinking, could he do a business over here?
Well, sometimes it's your time, isn't it? I think, he didn't really do it in England at the clubs he was at. Obviously started at Spurs, but I mean, since he moved on, but there's no doubt he's a goal scorer. And if you're scoring goals like that for your international side, then people are going to start having a look at you. As you mentioned there, 14 goals. He's having an incredible season. And if you want anybody to step up to take that penalty, I think it was actually Seamus Coleman got the ball. I'm thinking, no, surely not. But he handed it over to Troy Parrott. But brilliant finish. But going back to that penalty, I think internationally, as soon as the referee went across to have a look at the monitor, it was always going to be given. But I think in the Premier League, I'm not quite sure it would have been given.
Yeah, but it is to the benefit of the Republic of Ireland then, who lead this one by 1-0. And don't forget, of course, if they are to win this one, they will then host the playoff final, which will be against either Denmark or North Macedonia. And North Macedonia, as we remember, previously knocked out Italy in the World Cup playoff semi-finals. They then lost to Portugal, but they have created a little bit of history in these playoffs before. So taking on a Denmark side, which is it goalless at the moment in that one?
Yeah, and Kosovo have just equalised in their game at Slovakia. Veldin Hoxha has just made it 1-1 there. Kosovo, such a fascinating team because their first qualifying run as an accepted FIFA member was for 2018. So I mean, they've only been a recognised nation in football terms as a FIFA member for a few years. But what you're getting now is you're getting guys that previously might have played for Switzerland or might have played for other nations who are saying, actually, I want to play for Kosovo. And we're seeing lots of players based in Germany at the moment who are switching allegiance and are starting to play for Kosovo and playing very successfully.
So it's 1-1 in that one, and don't forget Turkey already through to the final, having beaten Romania earlier today. Let's check in with how Wales are getting on in their playoff semi-final. They're taking on Bosnia-Herzegovina in Cardiff. Lawrence Mora.
Yeah, Wales 0, Bosnia-Herzegovina 0, but Harry Wilson has come within the width of the post of opening the scoring here in Cardiff, taking the ball up on the right-hand side of the penalty area. He's in what seems an impossible angle. He's checked it onto that favoured left foot and curled it. The goalkeeper rooted to his spot, but the ball's just come back off the far post into the middle of the goal. Then Ethan Ampadu charging in has had a collision with a Bosnian player. He's still getting a bit of treatment in the middle of the penalty area, Ampadu. But Cardiff City Stadium was on its feet there for Harry Wilson. So close to open the scoring. As it is, this is an intriguing game. And with 22 minutes gone, it remains Wales 0, Bosnia-Herzegovina 0.
That one's intriguing, but there has been another goal in Prague. Mark Wilson.
Yeah, it's Czechia 0, the Republic of Ireland 2. It looks like a Soufal own goal. In fact, it's come off the keeper. Just seen a replay. It's come off Kovar. It came from a corner after good work from Azaz down the right. Corner to the far post. It's headed at the far post by Darragh O'Shea back into the 6-yard box. And the defender, Soufal, has gone to clear it. He's sliced it against the crossbar on the post. As it's bounced down, it's come off the back of Matej Kovar and into the back. Well, it didn't go into the back of net. The referee's watch went off to say that the ball had gone over the line. And the Republic of Ireland in dreamland here. 2 goals in the opening quarter of this match. Fully deserved lead as well. And Czechia now with it all to do. It's Czechia 0, Republic of Ireland 2.
I mean, an incredible start for the Republic of Ireland, but some sympathy for the Czechia goalkeeper there.
Yeah, a little bit of sympathy, but I think if you leave a man free at the far post, that's the kind of chaos that can happen. And I think what that speaks to is what we were talking about just a few moments ago. You know, a change of coach. If you get a guy in, doesn't matter who it is, even somebody as experienced as Kobek, you bring him in, this is his first game. An enormous game to have to play. You haven't had that much time with your players. You haven't had that much time to work on set plays. And Ireland have done them there with the, you know, got a soft penalty and that set play there. So terrific start from the Republic.
That's a player not doing his job. If you've got a centre-half free at the far post like O'Shea's, free header, it's just incredible.
We've got to go back to Prague. This game is eventful. I think there's another penalty. Mark Wilson.
Yeah, there is, and this time it's for Czechia. It's Czechia 0, Republic of Ireland 2. It came after Czechia won themselves a corner. The ball fell inside the 6-yard box. Pretty similar to the Republic one. Header at the far post. It was Krejci, the Wolverhampton Wanderers defender. He's gone to bring the ball down, and Ryan Manning's had a clear pull on the back of his shirt. There's no need for the VAR on this one. Referee was right there, pointed instantly to the spot. Whilst the Republic will protest, I don't think they have any real right to protest. So Ireland do 2 goals in 7 minutes from Parrott and then that own goal. Now they're facing a penalty of their own, and no surprise, Patrick Schick is the man who's got the ball on the spot. We keep looking at the manager, Miroslav Kuba. He does not look happy, man. This might lift his mood if Patrick Schick can beat Keller, but we know Keller's pretty hot on penalties. Can he keep the Republic of Ireland's 2-goal lead intact? He waits, and everyone waits inside the stadium, hoping from a Czech point of view they can get a goal back here. The Republic will be hoping that their keeper can keep their 2-goal lead intact. And it is the Bayer Leverkusen man, Schick, left-footed, takes a pause and then sends it into the top corner. It's a really good penalty. The deficit is half. Finally, a little bit of joy for Czechia. It's Czechia 1, Republic of Ireland 2.
Wow. I mean, it's all happening in Prague in this particular playoff semi-final. So it's now Czechia 1, Republic of Ireland 2. But you do have to question what Ryan Manning is thinking.
Yeah, because his first touch has taken him away from the goal. And that's the worry of, isn't it? I think it's Krejci, the one who has his first touch with his chest, and he's taken it away from the goal. So Manning, as a centre-half, you basically got to say, right, I've done my job. I'm shuffling him away from our goal here. Just leave his shirt. They give them now a lifeline from the penalty spot. And you know that, look, Schick's not going to let you down from the penalty spot. He's got a wonderful left foot. It's a great penalty, I have to say. But when it was so comfortable, now it's not.
Yeah, I think it's down to, 25 goals in 51 appearances for Schick, for Czechia. And he's made a name for himself in the Bundesliga, hasn't he?
Oh, he's had a phenomenal goal-scoring record. He was part of that Leverkusen team that won the league and cup double under Xabi Alonso. Although it was funny, actually, me and Micky were talking before we came on air. Some of the big games, Xabi Alonso didn't pick him in the starting 11. He was very frustrated about that, but that was more to do with what he did without the ball, and he wanted guys who were quick, who could press, guys like Frimpong, guys like Teller, guys like Adley, and that goes back to what we were saying about Thomas Tuchel. He'll make a decision that you think, that doesn't make a lot of sense, and then you think, well, they're thinking, what does this player give me without the ball as well as with the ball?
Okay, so lots happening in that game in Prague, but what's happening in Bergamo, where Northern Ireland are taking on Italy? Ian Danta?
26 minutes gone, Italy 0, Northern Ireland 0, and Northern Ireland have settled rather well since you last spoke to me. They've had 2 good chances, first with their first corner of the game, swung in from the right by Justin Devaney. It somehow went through 3 Northern Ireland players who looked really well placed on the 6-yard line. None of them could get a touch, and it drifted away and out for a goal kick. And then just a couple of moments ago, a ball through midfield from Northern Ireland. Mancini slipped inside his own half, and it allowed Ethan Galbraith of Swansea to run onto the loose ball up to the edge of the area. He had options left and right, but he actually elected to shoot for goal himself, and it was blocked at source. That was a bit of a wasted chance there for Northern Ireland, but it's much better than the early pressure they were under from the Italians in the first 10 minutes of the game. We've got 27 minutes gone in Bergamo. Italy 0, Northern Ireland 0.
Dance, it's Micky. How have Ireland settled at the back without Dan Ballard playing?
Do you know what? The other Sunderland player out there, Trey Hume, he's captaining the side tonight, Micky, and he is leading by example. I've only seen McNair play very recently for Hull City. He looks solid. I've not seen McConville play for a while, but it's a good 3-man unit. They're well structured. They're forcing Italy to try and play diagonal balls from left to right or right to left to try and get in behind them, in behind the wing-backs, and it's not working for Italy at the moment. Of course, they've got the quality to be able to unlock a defence, but generally, as we speak, the Northern Irish defence so far have done a pretty creditable job, Micky.
OK, for now, Ian Dancer, thank you very much. I mean, nearly half an hour gone, and I'm sure Northern Ireland and Michael O'Neill will be delighted with how they're getting on at this current moment, because you know, if they can keep Italy out for as long as is possible, then the crowd, they're going to start getting on the back of these players.
That's the key to the whole thing. Yeah. That's what you have to do. You have to play on the nervousness. Daniele Fisichella told us, didn't he, before the game even started, how hysterical and nerve-shredding the whole thing was. And wow, if they were to nick a goal from a set play, take the lead, then Italy are under enormous pressure.
And this all stems from the fact that they haven't qualified for the last 2 World Cups. They find themselves in this awkward position of being in the playoffs yet again. And yeah, Northern Ireland doing what they have to do right now to keep them out. Goalless it is in that one. Goalless it is in Cardiff. The Republic of Ireland lead Czechia by 2-1 as well. We'll continue to update you on everything that is happening in these games, as well as all the other playoff semi-finals that are taking place as well, here on Kickoff on talkSPORT.
Will that result have put a little bit of a seed of doubt in the Arsenal players in terms of the Championship run-in?
He said, will it give a bit of doubt for Arsenal now going into the league?
No, I don't think so. I actually think it could work in our favour, because you're seeing the amount of players that are being pulled out of their international teams. Sounds to me like Mikel's going, guys, I'm going to need you fit here. And if you're looking at the players that are not included, they're the players that are pretty much certified to play for their countries anyway. The likes of Gabriel, the likes of...
Are you okay with that, though? Players turning down their country?
Absolutely fine with it, mate. Right now, put it this way. If you do well for Arsenal, you're guaranteed to play for your nation anyway. So I think the only players that are not going to miss out on the opportunity are those that are on the fringes.
But as Sawyer, Ancelotti and Gabriel's not turned up, do you not see that as turning you back on your country?
No, because the reality is he knows what's at stake over there. Ancelotti's a winner. You know, we have to start winning. It's actually going to be good for the national team once Arsenal start winning.
Does that result, though, on Sunday put doubt in your mind to win the Champions League? You know, like big one-off games, and Arsenal haven't showed up.
No, I don't see why it should. I mean, if I'm honest with you, I'm not even going to the next round of Champions League games. I'm not going to the Sporting games.
Why?
Because we should be beating those teams. We've got it in the bag.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Just like that?
Just like that. And you know what? That loss is going to help us, because now the attitude is, look, we have no choice but to win. There's a higher expectation now. We can look at the situation with the goalkeeper, And I've had time to reflect, right?
Yeah.
I was really upset on Sunday, you know, because you were messaging me, right? Really upset.
Yeah, sorry about that.
You're not sorry. But I look at that and I go, you know what? Now is the time. Now you don't owe anyone anything, Mikel.
Good evening. This is Kick-Off. It's our international special as we keep you across all of the World Cup playoffs that are taking place this evening. And it is as you were when we brought you the latest update. So the Republic of Ireland lead 2-1 against Czechia, that in Prague. It is goalless in Cardiff between Wales and Bosnia-Herzegovina. And it's also goalless in Bergamo, where Italy are taking on Northern Ireland. I know Kevin Hatchard is right across everything else that's happening. So anything more to update us on?
Yeah, well, I suppose if we round up the other scores, so Sweden 1-0 up against Ukraine in Valencia. That was Victor Gyökeres with an early goal in that one. It's all square between Poland and Albania, 0-0. Denmark 0, North Macedonia 0, and all square in the game between Slovakia and Kosovo. Slovakia led after 6 minutes, but Kosovo have equalised.
There you go. Right, that runs you through everything. And there is a small matter of a friendly taking place in Boston in America. It's Brazil taking on France. Kylian Mbappe has started this one, we should say, for France with all of the injury issues that he's had. I mean, it still baffles me about this scan that he had, and they scanned the wrong leg.
Yeah, I still can't get my head around this because I could understand it if he didn't speak.
This is what I don't understand.
Surely he would have gone, lads, wrong leg, wrong leg. But
is he that oblivious to it? You know, has he got his headphones in? He wasn't paying attention.
I think what has definitely happened is there's been a kind of difference of opinion between him and the Real Madrid doctors. And there is actually a growing debate about how many injuries Real Madrid are getting. And that's been the case for quite some time. And it's not just injuries, it's serious injuries. Are players being played when they shouldn't be? Are players having too many minutes? So, you know, there are some clubs where you're thinking the medical staff are probably too involved. Talk of the red zone and all of this business.
Yeah.
But I just wonder sometimes whether players are playing a bit too much through injury.
Well, can I just ask you, Kev, about Brazil, right? And they're playing Vinicius and Cunha up front tonight in the game. It's a problem area for them, isn't it, striker? They can't really find that Ronaldo, I suppose. And look, there's not many of them around, but what are they going to do, actually, when they get to the World Cup?
Yeah, I think it's up for grabs. It wouldn't surprise me if Vinicius and Cunha was the partnership, but there's obviously Igor Thiago got that call up and he deserves it. You know, he absolutely deserves it. Since that knee injury that he picked up after arriving at Brentford, he's battled back from that. He was scoring goals in Belgium for Club Brugge. He scored tons of goals for Brentford. And again, it's not just about his goal scoring. He brings you a lot off the ball as well in terms of that link-up play, bringing other players into it. So I think what Ancelotti will want is that option, but I think also he'll want mobility in those forward positions.
Well, this is what I was going to say. He's not your typical Brazilian flair player.
No, but then, you know, they love a big man as well sometimes as well. You know, they do produce, if you look, you know, that kind of centre forwards, they do come up with on quite a regular basis. The other thing as well is that Rodrigo, I think, would have been part of this 11. And obviously he's now out and is going to miss the World Cup. So you've got to find a way of kind of tweaking that as well.
And there's also the Neymar situation. He hasn't been called up. This is down to a fitness issue. So Carlo Ancelotti has said, and he hasn't completely ruled him out in not being a part of his World Cup squad as well. But Neymar certainly very disappointed to not be involved. Would you imagine that if he is at his peak fitness that he would? Because I can see you're making a face there, Kevin. You're not so sure.
There's the question, at his peak fitness. And I think the problem is really, if you take Neymar and if you take him to this set of friendlies, everything's about, does Neymar start? Why isn't he starting? He's played 20 minutes. Why did he only play 20? So, and he's not a wallflower. He'll quite happily speak out about the situation. So I think he's been smart. I think it's a dig in the ribs for Neymar to get fitter. And he's at Santos, so he's got the opportunity to do that. But I think it's also, let's dial down the noise until we have to have it. And because he's going to have to make a decision either way.
I feel like it's a little bit more sentimental if that happens with Neymar. I know Ronaldo and Messi are completely different, but if you want to talk about the era of the three players that we probably spoke about most, you have to bring Neymar into that conversation. But I don't see it. I think Brazil are probably better with them not there.
What you're talking about is you're talking about a guy who's well into his 30s who had so many injury problems at Al Hilal, they didn't even include him in their squad. And so he had to move on because they left him out entirely in terms of the foreign players they could pick. So I think when he was at his best, you're talking about a guy who was right up there. He didn't get that Ballon d'Or that he wanted, and that's why he went to PSG to step out of Messi's shadow. That never happened. He came close, but he isn't that player anymore, even if a lot of Brazilian fans maybe think he is.
Well, we'll have a South American expert view a little bit later on with Tim Bickery joining us later on in the show. Let's bring you more updates with what's happening in these playoffs, shall we? Let's take you back to Cardiff, Wales and Bosnia in action. Lawrence Mora.
Wales 0, Bosnia-Herzegovina 0, 39 minutes gone. Harry Wilson with a free kick. Now, right-hand side of the pitch, about 10 yards outside the area on the diagonal. He's going to whip this in with his left foot. And he's gone for goal, and the goalkeeper's had to punch it away. And Wilson, I mean, he's already hit the post. He is at the heart of absolutely everything for Wales. Wilson and Brooks in particular, playing in the 2-10s role, have been causing havoc for Bosnia, but they are remaining defensively resolute. They only conceded 7 in qualifying, and you can exactly see why. 5 minutes before half-time, Wales 0, Bosnia 0.
I'm surprised we haven't been back to Mark Wilson because it's been such an eventful game in Prague. But what's the latest now between Czechia and the Republic of Ireland?
It's still Czechia 1, Republic of Ireland 2. Republic have just got a corner as we speak. Ryan Manning, who gave away that real unnecessary penalty, is about to take it. There's not been a great deal of goal-mouth action. It's become a bit of a scrap in the middle of the field. Ireland leading courtesy of that Parrott penalty given by VAR. 17 minutes, then the Kovar own goal after Soufal's clearance hit the bar, came down, hit the keeper and went in, and then we saw Patrick Schick score from the penalty spot. Nice finish as well, but not a lot of goal-mouth action thereafter. Benny's having a good game going forward for Republic of Ireland. He's won a couple of corners working down that right-hand side. It looks like the pace of Northern Ireland is causing the Czechia defence quite a few problems as the Republic try and repeat that corner that got them the own goal when they put it past the far post, but nothing comes of it this time. 4 to go to the break in Prague. Czechia 1, Republic of Ireland 2.
Yeah, and it's not long until half-time in Bergamo where Italy are taking on Northern Ireland. Ian Danta.
Italy 0, Northern Ireland 0. We've got 39 and a half gone in this game, and Northern Ireland, as I mentioned in the last report, settled well, and the back three of McNair, Hume and McConville are putting their head on most things and getting things clear, because Italy are having the lion's share of possession. 71% of the ball is with the Azzurri Blue, and they forced 7 corners as well, but none of them, apart from the one that saw the DiMarco shot driven in and well saved by Pierce Charles and then deflecting away from Sandro Tonali. That's the only corner of the 7 they've won that have caused Northern Ireland any real strife. And just that half chance at the other end for Ethan Galbraith when he galloped through to the edge of the area. Should have squared it left or right for a teammate, but elected to go alone, and the shot was blocked. Can Northern Ireland keep this scoreline to half-time at least, and then Michael O'Neill can have a chat with his troops about how to proceed further? It is Italy 0, Northern Ireland 0.
Ian Danta, thank you very much. OK, so far so good then for Northern Ireland. Also for the Republic of Ireland, you could obviously say that for Wales too, because they haven't allowed Bosnia-Herzegovina to score in this game, but they will be disappointed if they can't take advantage of the home advantage that they have in this particular tie, as well as knowing that if they were to win this one, they will host the final as well, which will be against Italy or Northern Ireland. But we will continue to update you on all of those, and no further goals in all the other games from what I can see as well, Kev, in the other playoffs. And the same for the Brazil-France game, which we are closely keeping an eye on too. Right. Are we taking a break? Just to double check. Yes, sorry. Right. It's so frantic. There's a lot going on, as you can well imagine. But this is Kickoff on talkSPORT. Thanks very much for tuning in this Thursday evening.
This season, the recruitment's not worked. They tried to replace Isak with two strikers, Visser and Voltemada, who've both struggled. I actually think Visser is better than people give him credit for. He just needs a good run. Ilanga doesn't play well often enough, flat to deceive. So who was in charge of recruitment? Who did that? There's the other big problem they've got, and where Eddie's problem, I like Eddie a lot, me watching Newcastle as long as they have this season, and they're a great watch generally because they go after teams, play high energy. But their second half performances and results in a league table, they'd be 16th. And that's because they're not adaptable. They're trying to mix a European campaign and a Premier League campaign.
Yeah.
Playing this 100 miles an hour. Now, you need a supreme squad of athletes to play that way. I don't see often enough Newcastle go, today we're going to go, let's be a bit more pragmatic. And it's great at home. It works sometimes.
Isn't it a constant trend for Newcastle? Every time they qualify for a Champions League season,
to struggle a bit.
They struggle in the rest of the season. Yeah. I think the first season when they qualify for the Champions League,
That's my point, because of the style.
So it is a Champions League situation. It's a squad situation.
Amount of games, yeah.
And also, at the beginning of the season, Newcastle were very poor away from home. Yeah. They weren't able to get any points in the first sort of 5, 6, 7, 8 games in terms of or score any goals. And that may play into some of it.
And of course, it might get worse before it gets better, because if there's no European football for Newcastle United, it might be goodbye to some of the big names, Bruno Guimaraes, Sandro Tonali, to name but two.
This is Kickoff on talkSPORT, and it is Micky Gray, Kevin Hatchard and Natalie Sawyer with you until 10 o'clock this evening. Could go a little bit later if these playoff semi-finals go into extra time and penalties as well. We'll bring you the halftime scores as and when the whistle blows. And in fact, let's take you to Cardiff, where the whistle has blown for that Wales-Bosnia-Herzegovina game. Lawrence Mora.
Yeah, the halftime whistle has just gone. It's Wales 0, Bosnia-Herzegovina 0, and Wales will be frustrated that they're not in front, having dominated possession and had the best chances. Harry Wilson, unsurprisingly, the closest to scoring on the right-hand side of the penalty area. An almost impossible angle. He whipped a left foot shot across goal, had the goalkeeper rooted to his spot, but the ball came back off the far post. The dip on it was incredible. We had an amazing view of it. Apart from that, Wales front four have caused havoc all evening. They've been several bookings for the Bosnians. Klasinac, Tishmaridov and Memic have all been booked, and at times Bosnia have been living on the edge, but they'll be pretty satisfied to be going in goalless at the break. Half-time in Cardiff, Wales 0, Bosnia-Herzegovina 0.
Let's take you to Bergamo, where Italy are taking on Northern Ireland. Ian Danta.
0, Northern Ireland 0, and when you look at possession stats of 71% to 29 in favour of the Italians, you'd think that this half was one-sided, and in a sense it was, because Italy forced 8 corners to Northern Ireland's 1, but only one of those 8 corners really produced anything in terms of a gilt-edged chance, when Di Marco's shot across the face of goal was well pushed out by Piers Charles, and it diverted, squirted just away from Sandro Tonali in front of goal. And Northern Ireland have had 1 or 2 opportunities. Their only corner of the half, swung in by Justin Devaney, somehow missed 3 Northern Ireland players, all in and around the 6-yard line, who just couldn't connect with the corner. And then a slip by Mancini later in the half allowed Ethan Galbraith to gallop clear towards the edge of the area. He had options left or right, but elected to go alone, and it was a poor choice in the end from the Swansea man, as his shot was blocked. But Michael O'Neill will be very encouraged by that first 45 minutes for Northern Ireland. And as for Gennaro Gattuso, he's got an increasingly frustrated crowd in Bergamo to deal with, as well as sorting out his players to try and take an advantage, seeing as they are way above Northern Ireland in the FIFA rankings. At the break, Italy 0, Northern Ireland 0.
Ian Danta, thank you very much. And let's take you to the game in Prague, where Czechia are hosting the Republic of Ireland. Mark Wilson.
Czechia 1, Republic of Ireland 2. The Republic off to a flying start, almost scored in the opening 6 minutes. Nathan Collins had a shot, took a deflection, smashed off the crossbar and away to safety. But it was Collins who was involved 16 minutes in. Another set piece. There was a bit of a scrimmage on the edge of the box. As Collins went to get it, it looked like he was touched by Derrida, but the referee waved play on, play went right down the other end. Czechia actually had a shot on goal. Then the VAR intervened and said to the referee, called him to the sideline, had a look. It's one of those, if it goes for you, you're quite happy. If it goes against you, you'd be pretty disappointed. But Parrott, the man of the moment for Republic of Ireland, 5 goals in his last 2 before tonight. He got the penalty. Keeper went the right way, actually got fingers on it, but couldn't keep it out. That was 1-0, and the Republic doubled their lead shortly after a Kovar own goal. It came from another set piece, delivered to the far post. Lovely header back into the 6-yard box from O'Shea, and there was Soufal, the former West Ham man, tried to clear it, sliced it, hit the bar and the post, bounced down, hit the unfortunate keeper and into the back of the net. But Czechia had offered very little up to that point, given a massive lifeline, and a needless one from a Republic point of view. Manning with a needless pullback on Krejci. Krejci went down, referee had no hesitation, pointed to the spot, and Patrick Schick made no mistake, stuck the ball in the top corner past Kelleher. Not been too much since then in terms of goal-mouth chances, but Czechia starting to grow back into it after a really nervous start to the match. It's in the balance here, but I'm sure the Republic would have taken a lead at the break. 45 minutes to go. It's Czechia 1, Republic of Ireland 2.
Mark, thank you very much. And of course, if it stays like this, they will host the final in Dublin on Tuesday, where they will take on either Denmark or North Macedonia, which at the break is goalless. That is despite the fact it's been quite a dominant first half by Denmark, having, 12 shots in the game, 4 on target. North Macedonia yet to even test the defence, it seems. Not a single shot in this game, but still holding firm, North Macedonia. And we've already talked about what they've done previously in playoffs, Kev.
And that's how they did it. They went to Italy, they dug in, and they got a goal late on in the second half. So I think they'll be very, very pleased with that. Sweden will be pleased as well. They lead Ukraine 1-0 at half-time. Early goal from Victor Gyökeres in that one. That being played in Valencia, that game. Albania 1-0 up against Poland. That was Arba Hoxha with a goal quite late in the half. And Albania only conceded 5 goals in 6 qualifiers. 4 of those goals were against England. So their defensive record under Silvino, used to play for Arsenal many moons ago, is exceptional. So they'll feel they can see that one out. Slovakia have retaken the lead against Kosovo. Lukáš Haraslín with a goal right at the end of the half. It was a free kick wide on the left-hand side. He whipped it in towards the far post. It missed everyone, including the goalkeeper, and nestled just in the far corner of the net. So that's Slovakia 2-1 up in that one. So games that are still very much in the balance. And Kylian Mbappe has put France in front against
knee injury?
Brazil.
What knee injury?
Yeah, well, you scan them enough times, eventually they'll be okay. So he's given France the lead against Brazil.
And just quickly going back to, you mentioned Slovakia 2-1 up against Kosovo. If they win that one, they will take on Turkey, who won earlier on today when they beat Romania by 1-0. Ferdi Karaoglu's goal in the second half, the difference. Not a bad goal either.
Arda Güler's pass is outrageous. He just comes in on his left foot, perfectly weighted. Kadioglu takes it brilliantly, brings it down, pokes it past the goalkeeper. Turkey really dangerous. I would expect them to qualify. Vincenzo Montella did a really good job getting them to the quarterfinals of the Euros. They've got loads of great, young, talented, technical players, but also some experienced guys like Hakan Çalhanoğlu, who I think won his 103rd cap for Turkey tonight, which makes him 3rd in the all-time list.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. And they only lost once in qualifying. That came against Spain.
Yeah, they dropped 4 points against Spain and did brilliantly against everybody else.
Yeah.
You can hold your hands up to that one and say,
I think so.
They're quite good, Spain.
Yeah,
That's all right.
Not bad, are they? Those young boys of Spain. But as we've sort of been mentioning, with keeping across all of these games, especially with the home nations and the Republic of Ireland, so far so good, really. Would you say, Micky?
Yeah. I mean, Northern Ireland they're certainly on the back foot, and just listening to what Dance has to say, they're defending for their lives. DeMarco, just seeing his chance in that first half with his left foot. Kevin touched on him. We know he's a talented player. He's got a wonderful left foot, but I think they'll be happy with that. Michael will be really happy with that. The Republic of Ireland, obviously, the goals that they've got. And from what I've seen from Wales, possession-wise, a lot of possession. They're getting around the edge of the 18-yard area. Harry Wilson's had 2 great opportunities. Obviously, that one when he hit the post. But I've seen a couple of the corners that he's put in as well, and he's whipping them right in towards the goalkeeper. But they've got to break that deadlock and very quick.
The thing that's really interesting about Wales is it was obviously previously all about Gareth Bale and the supporting cast. Ramsey was a big part of that as well. That's no longer the case. But what I find really interesting about this Bellamy-led team, they're 6th, I think, in the whole of Europe in terms of average possession. Now, I know that's only a stat. It's not the be-all and end-all. But what it shows is intent. It's not about plucky Wales. Let's see if we can nick something. They genuinely believe they can take it to teams. They can play at a high pace if they need to. When they lose the ball, they do everything they can to win it back. And Bellamy worked with Kompany at Burnley. It's really, those ideas that they had, Kompany's bringing them to bear at Bayern, and now you've got Bellamy doing it with Wales, and it's really good football to watch.
Well, I shared a dressing room with Craig.
Oh, yes. Go on, yes. Tell us more.
I was one of the ones who actually got on really well with him, to be fair. I still speak to him on the odd occasion now, and if anybody... Jamie Carragher loves football. I don't know if you've ever heard, like, any league, you can ask him any questions. A bit like Kevin, actually. Any league.
And a similar career as well, I think.
Yeah. Absolutely. But Craig's like that. He loves his football. Absolutely loves it. And when I heard him before the game saying, we're going for it, every word he said he meant. And they are going for it. They've got quality players there. As Kevin just mentioned there before, you can't keep harping back to Gareth Bale, Ashley Williams, Ramsey. You can't keep doing it. It's this next generation. And I think what he's done in this short period of time he's been there, he's put a very, very good side together.
And Harry Wilson has taken on the mantle pretty well when you consider what he has been doing for Wales of late, scoring a hat-trick not so long ago in their 7-1 win over North Macedonia. He scored 5 and 5 as well in World Cup qualifying, Harry Wilson. So he's certainly happy to lead this Wales team. So it's half-time. We will continue to update you with everything that happens in this one, but this gives us a chance to maybe go back to England and talk about the squad selection issues, perhaps, that Thomas Tuchel's going to have when he has to whittle it down to 26 come the summer. Harry Kane, obviously, as we know, given, is going to be selected as the captain as well. But the question does sort of centre on who's his understudy in this England team. Now, there's no Ollie Watkins. He wasn't selected. Danny Welbeck was a shout for many after the form that he's shown for Brighton. He too wasn't picked, but Dominic Calvert-Lewin is in there. Dominic Solanke has also been picked as well as a number 9 alternative. What do you think of the options that Thomas Tuchel has?
Well, we had a little conversation before we came in there. Yeah, and I've got to stick with it. I think it's irrelevant. I really do, because if Harry Kane's fit and he wants to play, he's going to play. I think the only reason you would change your striker is in one of your group games. If you're comfortable in your 2 or 3-0 up, I think they'll make a change and give Harry that little bit of a break that he's going to need if you're going to go deep into the competition. But look, if I looked at the players that I've seen this season and you go on form, Danny Welbeck should be in the squad. He has been absolutely sensational this season. And I think he's been in squads before. He's got great experience. I think he's one that you'd love in a dressing room. Seems like a great lad. I can't speak for Ollie Watkins off the pitch because I don't know what he's like, but has he had a good season? Not particularly, in my eyes. I think you judge centre forwards on goals. I know he got one in the Europa League the other day. Was it in France? I think they were playing. He scored a wonderful header in the game. But I'm kind of scratching my head, Natalie. I have to say of who I think should go as the understudy to Harry Kane, because in my head, I think Marcus Rashford plays there if Harry Kane's injured. That would be my pick. I think there's no point in going for a similar striker to Harry Kane. If you're trying to change a game, if it comes down to that in one of the matches that we're involved in, clearly it's not worked for Harry, so why go with a similar Harry Kane? I think you need something a little bit different. I think that's what Marcus brings. With his pacing behind, his dynamism, the pace that he's got, and that would be my choice.
I mean, there's also the option of playing false number 9s. It's not like managers haven't done that before.
Yeah, and he's not averse to that. And he's spoken about Phil Foden in those terms, that he would see him as somebody that could play in that false 9 role. His movement is excellent. We know how intelligent a footballer he is. But if he wants a physical option, it wouldn't massively surprise me if he took Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I think it was always going to be about, could he be fit? Could he be robust enough to play regularly for Leeds in the Premier League and then play in a major tournament at the end of the season? The talent has never been the problem with Calvert-Lewin. It's been, can you keep him on the pitch? And I think for Leeds, I know they're having a sticky run at the moment, but I've been impressed by what I've seen so far. But had he nominated Danny Welbeck, I wouldn't have had a problem with that either, because, again, really intelligent, experienced footballer who would be a standard setter in a dressing room.
It's amazing, isn't it? I think when you look at Dominic, and let's not forget when he first went to Leeds, there was niggling injuries. You know, he wasn't in the starting 11. It took him a little bit of time, and I think he needed that because, as you mentioned there, Kevin, he had to get himself up to 100% fit first and foremost. But as any ex-player will tell you, you can train 7 days a week and you can be, the top runner, the fastest player. There's nothing like games for match fitness. And Dominic needed that. I think he's showing the form now that he was when Ancelotti was at Everton.
Yeah.
That season he had there, he was incredible. He basically said to him, look, I don't want you getting involved in the build-up play. Get in the box like an Inzaghi and score goals. I actually think he showed him a video of Inzaghi and said, that's what I want you to do, which was one touch in the box and score a goal. And I think he had his best goal scoring record up until this season at Everton because that's all he was doing. Look, we know how good he is in the air.
Yeah.
And he's that focal point. But he needed to be fit. And I think now his body's adapted to playing every single week. I wouldn't have an issue with taking him.
But of course, that's also at the time where everyone was saying he was the natural understudy for Harry Kane. It's just that he had a number of injuries. But this season, so far, so good, and he's doing particularly well at Leeds. But Harry Kane, I mean, he just obviously continues to amaze everybody what he's now doing in Germany. Tell us, you watch the Bundesliga, you're involved in it quite a lot with some of the work that you do as well. So just tell us what you see of Harry Kane in Germany that might we don't see often, obviously, here. Yeah,
I think the best version of Kane we've ever seen, I'd argue, in terms of he's always been a goal scorer, but it's about the leadership. It's about the ability to drop into all manner of different positions. I've seen him fill in as an emergency centre-back at times in games because he's come that deep and he's come to try and help out. But I think you listen to the way he speaks like a leader. He speaks like a star player, actually. He speaks like a guy who fully believes and rightly believes he's one of the top 5 players in the world. Certainly top strikers in the world. And the numbers back that up. He's got 47 in all competitions. He's got 30 in the Bundesliga alone. He's running out of games to catch Lewandowski in terms of the single season scoring record. He's 11 short of that. But he's part of a Bayern attack that is going to break a record in the Bundesliga that stood since 1972. They've got 101 goals. Bayern are 4 short of it. And they've got 7 games to go. Wow. And, you know, it's him, it's Ulisse, it's now Musiala, it's Gnabry, it's all those guys. Luis Diaz, who's been lights out. And he is the centrepiece. And he's the guy they all talk about.
So what do you say to those people that might suggest, well, he's playing in the Bundesliga, it's not the same level as the Premier League, or is that just simply a Premier League bias?
I say the same thing I always say. He was a 2-in-3 man in the Premier League. This is not Farmers League nonsense. This is him scoring goals on a regular basis, doing it for England, doing it in Champions League games. Now, ultimately, the test is going to be, what does he do against Real Madrid in this Champions League quarter-final? What does he do then in a potential semi-final against a big hitter? So, yes, that is a question mark because he might be facing PSG, he might be facing Liverpool in that semi-final. So that's the only way he's going to convince some people. But this idea that he was an average striker in the Premier League and then he got to Germany and started scoring all these goals just isn't true. Just isn't remotely true. And what you saw for Spurs as well was his ability to dovetail with quality players. And we saw that with Son. That partnership's one of the best the Premier League's seen, him and Son. And he's just brought all of that ability to the Bundesliga. And, you know, people could judge the Bundesliga, but Bayern are a top team. I mean, if they win the Champions League, nobody would be surprised.
You know, the climate, Kevin, when we get to the World Cup, is that going to affect the European sides more than the South American or anywhere else?
I think it will. Obviously, the kind of toolbox for a lot of modern coaches is that press, that furious press, and you're just not going to be able to do it in the same way in some of those conditions. But what I would say is that if you look at the Club World Cup, for what that's worth, PSG, who are one of the top pressing teams around, got to the final, and the way that Chelsea beat them in that final was by pressing and by catching them out. So I think, yes, it is a factor. There's no doubt about it. But I think the sports science is so good now and coaches are smart. They know they've got to change things. I think Tuchel's another one. He will absolutely, it'll be, I think his phrase is, it breaks my head. He'll be thinking of all of these variables, all of these factors. He's been doing it, since he was a youth coach. He'll be absolutely across it, and a lot of the big coaches will too.
Because you have to acclimatise to one of these tournaments, yeah? You can't just go there 3 or 4 days before the tournament starts and think, right, okay, that's it. You know what it's like when you go on a holiday. It takes you 2 or 3 days yourself, even just walking around in the sun. If you go for a walk on the beach, you feel a little bit more tired than you do when you're at home in the UK. It's going to be interesting to see what he does. And you talk about Thomas Tuchel, being defensive-minded, if you like. He wants a back four to be a back four. And your midfield players, is he going to play two-holder midfield players in certain games? Will it depend on what time the kickoffs are in the games that we've got in the group stages, of how he approaches things? It's going to be so... And that's just from an England perspective. I'm thinking about everybody, but surely they have to take it into consideration of what's in front of them.
Yeah, I think... we may well talk about Germany a bit more later on, but if you look at some of the selections Julian Nagelsmann's making, it's quite interesting because I think he's thinking, right, we are going to have to try and keep the ball. He's going to want to put Alexander Pavlovich in that deep midfield position because he knows he never gives the ball away. And that's what you need. I think you're going to see a lot of teams. Elliot Anderson's another one for England, potentially. Never gives the ball away, or very rarely gives the ball away. So I think you'll have a lot of teams that do that, that say, right, we can't just go chaos ball. It can't just be hell for leather. We have to treat that ball well and keep it, because otherwise, you're absolutely right, that the energy will be sapped very, very quickly.
And of course, England do have friendlies in June that are taking place in the United States as well, and they're facing New Zealand and Costa Rica. But of course, the Premier League season finishes quite late.
Yeah.
And then you've got a Champions League final potentially that could involve some of the English players as well. There is that fear potentially of burnout before they've even got there.
Yeah, look, I think the top stars who play for the top countries who we think are going to go far in the competition, they're going to be playing similar games, Champions League semi-finals, finals as well. It's not us here sat trying to find an excuse of why, we should get there a little bit early and climatise. Qatar should have been not a warm-up. Obviously, it was a huge thing, the World Cup there as well. But, you look at Qatar, and I know what it's like, having worked there for over 12 years, that on a night time, the humidity can drop, and it's like you sweat as soon as you come out the front door. I don't know what America and Canada and Mexico are going to be like, if they're going to be in that humidity or not. And I think it'll boil down to what time the kickoffs are, and that might be the different approach of why Tuchel has to use his squad rather than 11 through the group stages to say, right, this is my best 11. I want us to get through to the knockout stages. He might have to rotate his players.
Yeah, and I think coaches are thinking of that. I think you'll see increasingly as well, players get told they have a role. You're not going to start for me, but there's a good chance you'll come on for the last 15, 20. And when you do that, I absolutely need you to be ready.
Goal in Cardiff, Lawrence Mora.
It's Wales 1, Bosnia 0. The Canton stand. The Wales fans are on their feet because Dan James has lashed an absolute beauty into the back of the net. Wales were just having the tempo slowed on them. Bosnia were just trying to get a grip of this game. But out of nowhere, Dan James has strode forward, right-footed, lashed it home. They're celebrating in front of the Canton. Bosnia are ready to kick off. And Wales have a vital lead in Cardiff. Wales 1, Bosnia-Herzegovina 0.
Wow. Great start then to this second half for Wales. And what a goal. Micky Gray.
That is just incredible. That's just instinct, that. The goalkeeper's not set. You can see him shuffling back towards his goal, but it was actually one of the Bosnia players headed it back towards one of his defenders, got it wrong, but that is just absolutely sensational from James, isn't it? What a strike.
I've always really liked him because it sounds really basic, but he affects the game. He never hides. He's so quick. And it's the pace that's created that chance, because a lot of players wouldn't have got onto the end of that. But he's read the potential, raced onto it. And Vasil, who's having a bit of a mixed season at St. Pauli in Germany, it has to be said, they're in deep relegation danger, and he made a bad mistake at the weekend. Running backwards, can't get his bearings and can't get his hands up in time. It's a phenomenal goal.
Absolutely brilliant. So Wales now ahead. The second half, as you can understand, are well underway now. So let's check in with potentially, if Wales win this one, who they will face in that final. And it will take place at home as well. That's Italy against Northern Ireland. How's this second half started, Ian Danta?
Italy 0, Northern Ireland 0. It remains 52 minutes gone. And I get the feeling the Italians had a bit of a flea in the ear from their manager, Gennaro Gattuso, in the dressing room at half-time, because they came out at the start of the second half and tried to apply the pressure. But, that pressure didn't really last very long, and it's Northern Ireland in the last couple of minutes that are showing. They've just got the ball on the edge of the area, and Jamie Donnelly's gone down, and the referee has not given a foul in Donnelly's favour. On the balls, there's just a mistake at the back that's allowed Retegui into the area, but out comes Piers Charles with some very brave goalkeeping when Retegui was bearing down on goal after a slight slip from Terry Devlin, trying to pass the ball back to his goalkeeper, undercooked it, Retegui onto it in a flash, but his touch let him down, the Italian number 9. But credit Piers Charles, this young goalkeeper, winning just his 9th cap for Northern Ireland tonight, who got there and blocked it as Retegui got to about level with the penalty spot. That's important goalkeeping after what, as I say, had been a generally decent start to the second period from Northern Ireland. It is still Italy 0, Northern Ireland 0.
Ian, thank you very much. I mean, Retegui's going to be kicking himself, isn't he, with that poor touch?
Yes. Brodie Spencer, my goodness. Someone's just given him a rocket. His backtracking was absolutely brilliant to get himself back on side. But yeah, it was a back pass that was meant for the keeper, and it took a slight deflection and never got there. Yeah, heart and mouth stuff.
Right, let's get to Mark Wilson, who is across Czechia, Republic of Ireland. Mark?
Yeah, Czechia 1, Republic of Ireland 2, but there have been chances at both ends. Czechia made a couple of changes at the break. Thomas Souček, West Ham, and Stepan Chalapek have both come on for Derrida, and Holeš have made way. And it was a first chance for the Czechia side. It was a nice cross from the right-hand side. Croatia with a glancing header. It was dropping under the crossbar. Keller did well to backpedal and push it away for a corner. Then at the other end, Azaz whipped in a corner for the Republic of Ireland. It was partially cleared. It fell on the edge of the penalty area. Jason Malumbi has hit it first time, edge of the D. It's bounced, hit the bottom of the post, and then bounced straight back out in front of goal, but sadly past all the waiting white shirts who were waiting to tuck it in, and Czechia get the ball away. It's nervy here. Ireland on top in terms of the scoreboard, but Czechia are a threat here. It's Czechia 1, Republic of Ireland 2.
Mark, thank you very much. Kev, very quickly run us through some goals elsewhere.
Yes, Kosovo have equalised for a second time at Slovakia. It's 2-2 now. Fisnik Asllani is having a great season for Hoffenheim in Germany. He's made it 2-2 there. Victor Gyökeres has scored his second goal of the night in Valencia. Sweden 2-0 up against Ukraine. It's still Poland 0, Albania 1. And Mikkel Damsgaard, Brentford's finest, of course, has just put Denmark in front against North Macedonia. They lead 1-0.
And there's been a goal in Bergamo. Ian Danta.
Italy 1, Northern Ireland 0. The stadium erupts as Sandro Tonali of Newcastle has absolutely rifled a low shot from just outside the area through Shea Charles and into the back of the net. With 10 minutes gone in the second half, finally the pressure valve releases a little bit for the Italians. It was a ball up to the edge of the area that was from the right-hand side that was just knocked down. I think it was Retegui that got that was actually headed clear by Isaac Price straight to Tonali just inside the D, and he cracked it home right-footed, and it didn't go through Shea Charles. To be fair to him, he could never have got there in time. It was swerving away from the young keeper. Superb hit along the deck from Sandro Tonali, and Italy have hit the front. 10 minutes gone, second half. Italy 1, Northern Ireland 0.
Oh, heartbreak for Northern Ireland, but there's still plenty of time still to go in this game then in Bergamo, and we'll get the thoughts of Micky Gray, of Kevin Hatchard as well on that goal, and keep you regularly updated on everything that is happening on what is truly a fascinating international night of playoff action. This is Kick-Off on talkSPORT.
It's understood that Chelsea do not plan to review Rosenior's performance formally before the summer of 2027. They have no intention of making a change at the end of the season. Chelsea view this summer as being critical in terms of recruitment. The club's desperate to improve the mental resilience of the squad and provide Rosenior with a better balance of options. Chelsea will look to sign at least one new central defender, and they want to sign a midfielder, or add a midfielder and a forward as well. We know all that, Danny, but we also know a run of one win in the last 6 Premier League games. Many Chelsea fans are far from happy about the way things are going. So, Simon, Danny, I mean, no Champions League, no problem for Liam Rosenior, it seems. Should we believe it?
No, I struggle to believe that wholeheartedly. I think no Champions League for Chelsea would be a failure for them, especially if there's 5 places. And I think that the fans will become very disgruntled if that's the case. I do feel like whoever was in there, whoever was put in there would face similar problems. If you look at what we've talked about many times, the squad being so young. You see the amount of sendings off they have, the ill discipline, the extremes of performance, brilliant one week, poor the next. That's hard for anyone to go in there and get better consistency with the dynamic of the squad.
Let's be honest, we've all found ourselves raging at a referee's decision at some stage. This feel familiar?
That is an absolutely shocking decision. They've got a case in that it was a bad decision. It's such a poor decision.
Yeah, I think he's just made a bad decision in that instance.
But what does it take to get to the very top of football refereeing? Every referee starts with their county FA. It's a simple training course and you can take it as soon as you hit your 14th birthday. Once you've done that, you have to go through at least 11 hours of face-to-face training. You'll then graduate as a Level 7 official, which means you can take charge of county-level games. But hold your horses, there's still a long way to go to get to the Premier League. Your next step is to spend a year each at Levels 6, 5 and 4. This covers the top of the amateur game. Only at Level 3 do you start doing Northern Counties or Isthmian League level games, for example. If you've done this all quickly, you can reach Level 2 and ref your first National League match after, I don't know, 6 years? After getting enough experience at that level, you can apply to be a referee in the EFL. There's an interview, people watching you do games, and then, if the EFL are happy, you'll be granted a Level 1 licence to ref in games in League 2 and above. Now, they don't just say on you go to the Premier League, you have to work your way up through the divisions. Only after years of hard work and refereeing on cold Tuesday nights in Stoke can you be considered to do matches in some of Europe's very best stadiums. Now, who was the youngest to reach the very top? It was actually Michael Oliver. He reffed his first Premier League match in 2010 at the tender age of just 25. So if you want to follow in his footsteps, crack on. It'll only take you roughly a decade, thousands of hours of work and an incredibly thick skin. In total, there are 37,000 registered referees across England, but the PGMOL has only deemed 21 good enough for the top flight. That means there's not even a 1 in 1,000 chance you'll even make it in. Obviously, referees can make mistakes, but when you think about it,
Good evening. This is Kickoff on talkSPORT. Coming up in this final hour of the show, we will discuss more of the World Cup contenders, and of course the World Cup playoff semi-finals are coming to a close in this hour, where Wales, Northern Ireland, the Republic of Ireland are all in action this evening as they look to make it to North America this summer. Let's just remind you of a competition that has landed, and it's truly a big one. talkSPORT are giving you the chance to win 20 grand, and that is completely tax-free. That's £20,000 that could be yours. Don't miss your chance to win then this life-changing amount of money. This is how you can enter, and you might want a pen and paper handy for this one. You can simply text the word WIN to 83338. So that's text the word WIN to 83338. Text costs £2.50 plus your standard network rate. Or you can call this number 0343 418 7260. That's 0343 418 7260. Lines do close at 9th of April this year, of course. I don't know why it says 2026. It wouldn't be next year, would it? 4 p.m. is the deadline to get those calls in. And if you you have to be handy and you have to be around to answer the call if it rings to win this one. So it's only available to 18 and over and UK residents as well. It's a network promotion. Full T's and C's can be found at talksport.com. And a reminder, for your chance to win, you can text the word WIN to 83338. Okay, right. We didn't get a chance to talk about the Italy goal that has given them the lead then in Bergamo in this qualifier with Northern Ireland. Sandro Tonali getting it just a few minutes ago, Micky Gray. I mean, it's a hammer blow, obviously, for Northern Ireland because they have been on the back foot throughout, really.
Yeah, but I think that's the way they play. You know, defensively, they don't really concede too many goals under Michael O'Neill since he's been in charge. When I saw the goal, it's kind of like the whole defence went backwards. And when you clear your lines, you can't leave Tonali that amount of space on the edge of the 18-yard area. And that was the problem. He was just running onto something. It's a super strike. It's what you expect to see in a Newcastle shirt. You know, head down, just keeps it low, gives the keeper absolutely no chance. But, yeah, they've been knocking on the door, Italy. I have to say they've showed more quality than Northern Ireland. I think we expected that. But they've taken them into the second half, Ireland. That's, it's still 1-0. They've got a fighting chance.
All right, well, let's check in then with what's happening elsewhere, where there's been some drama in Cardiff at Wales, Bosnia and Herzegovina. Lawrence Moore?
Wales 1, Bosnia-Herzegovina 0, but how it is that scoreline, I do not know. We've had Dan James, who lashed home an absolute stunner for the first goal, hitting the bar on the break for Wales. Harry Wilson at the heart of it again, a little threaded ball behind the defence. Dan James twisted on his right, then onto his left, and then his shot just clipping a Bosnian defender and going on the post. And at the other end, wow, Karl Darlow pulling off an unbelievable save from Edin Dzeko. The 40-year-old right in the centre of goal, 7 or 8 yards out, and his strike partner Demirovic heading it back across goal. You expected Dzeko to score. The ball was destined for the corner, but somehow one-handed Darlow has managed to push the ball away to safety and keep the score line with Wales edging in front. Harry Wilson winning another free kick deep in the Bosnian half. Cannot take your eyes off this game. Wales 1, Bosnia-Herzegovina 0.
Oh, that was a terrific save from Karl Darlow.
Unbelievable. He's having a really good season, isn't he? He's got his place back in the starting 11. But that's one where, your arm's about 2.5 foot long and you've got to try and pull it a little bit to make it longer to make that save, haven't you? It was just incredible. What a save.
And Demirovic is really strong in the air as well. He'll be disappointed that he's not quite found that corner. There's just a little bit of space in between the ball and the post. And I think if he gets it a little bit closer, maybe Darlow can't get enough of a fingertip to it to keep it out. But shows that Bosnia are still dangerous. If you got Demirovic, who's been brilliant for Stuttgart in the Bundesliga, and Dzeko still banging them in at 40.
Well, this was what I was just thinking. You have got him, as you say, 40-year-old. You've got Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi, obviously in the twilights of their career. We say that. They still keep going, don't they? I mean, modern-day football now is incredible how long players can play for.
They obviously looked after themselves a lot better than I did, Natalie. I have to say.
That's the reason.
But yeah, I mean, look, the machines now, aren't they? Obviously, it's a different game. It's more technical now. It certainly has been over the last 15 to 20 years since I packed up. And I think a lot of ex-players will probably agree with that as well. But, they seem to shrug off aches and pains a little bit better than they used to now. It's not as physical, is it? As it used to be, Kevin. Back in the day, the top 5 European leagues, players miss games all of the time. Now, they play every single week.
Yeah. The Dzeko thing's incredible because he's bounced around and it's still the love of the game. He could have stopped ages ago if he wanted to, but he's now at Schalke, and that's a massive club that's in the 2nd division in Germany. They're desperate to go back up. Wolfsburg, who are struggling against relegation at the moment, they won the Bundesliga back in 2009. So, 17 years ago? Who was up front for them that season? A Brazilian guy called Graffiche, who's long retired, and Edin Dzeko.
There you go.
Wow. Incredible.
Yeah, the longevity of these players nowadays is absolutely incredible. There have been goals elsewhere, I'm sure, Kevin, that you can update us on.
Denmark have taken control of their game against North Macedonia. They're 3-0 up. It was Mikkel Damsgaard who put them in front, but Gustav Isaksson has scored twice in the space of a minute to make it 3-0 in that one. It's still Poland 0, Albania 1. Ukraine 2-0 down against Sweden. Gyökeres with both of those goals. Poland have now equalised against Albania. I'll give you a guess as to who you think scores.
Is it Robert Lewandowski?
It is. You know your Polish football. Lewandowski with the equaliser in that one. And it is also an incredible game between Slovakia and Kosovo. Kosovo were twice behind. They now lead 3-2. Lovely goal as well. Florent Muslia with a free kick up and over the wall and into the near corner. Lovely goal.
Just very quickly, put into context what an achievement this could potentially be for Kosovo.
It'd be extraordinary. I mean, their first ever qualifying campaign as a FIFA member was in 2018 for the 2018 World Cup. I mean, they have never qualified for a major tournament, but they're a growing nation in terms of people realising it's a realistic proposition to play for them. They're going to go from strength to strength. Guys who would have previously played for Germany or played for Switzerland or played for other Eastern European nations in the region are now thinking, actually, it'd be great to play for Kosovo. So it's not great for Switzerland, might not be great for Germany, but it's great for Kosovo.
Certainly. So they lead 3-2 in Bratislava. Let's take you to Prague, where Czechia are taking on the Republic of Ireland. Mark Wilson's across it.
Yeah, still Czechia at 1, Republic of Ireland 2. The Republic just made their first couple of changes. Robbie Brady and Alan Brown coming on for Ryan Manning and Jack Taylor, both who've been in the book. Republic had to weather a little bit of pressure early in the second half. We saw that chance earlier for Krejci, well saved by Kelleher. They had a couple of decent balls into the box, but haven't really fashioned any clear-cut chances. Then Malumbi hit the post from the edge of the penalty area with a fine shot that bounced to safety. But just signs the Republic are starting to hold their own here. We've got 20 minutes remaining. Obviously, the Czechia are going to chase down that equaliser. They're going to take risks. Maybe the Republic could steal one on the break, but it's in the balance at the moment. Czechia 1, Republic of Ireland 2.
And let's take you to Bergamo, where Italy are taking on Northern Ireland. Ian Danter.
70 minutes gone, so 20 to go. Italy 1, Northern Ireland 0. That goal from Sandro Tonali around the hour mark after Northern Ireland could only half clear across into the box. It was a lovely finish from the Newcastle midfielder. Change has been made by Michael O'Neill. He's taken off right wing back Terry Devlin and brought on a more forward-thinking right-sided player in QPR's Paul Smith. Moise Keane has just brought a very good save out of Piers Charles. This young keeper's having a super night, and his brother in midfield, Shea Charles, is also playing extremely well. It's a good right-footed, firm strike from Keane inside the box, but Charles well down to his right to make the save. So there's less than 20 to play, but the jeopardy is still there. And I've just seen Donnarumma make an absolute Horlicks of a simple back pass to him. So things could still get handed to Northern Ireland on a plate here in these closing stages. But as it stands, Italy going through. Italy 1, Northern Ireland 0.
Ian, thank you very much. The night's just getting better and better for Kosovo.
It is. They're 4-2 up now in Slovakia. Remember, they were twice behind in this one, but Krešnik Hajrizi has just scored his first ever goal for his country. They are 4-2 up, Kosovo.
Goodness me, they are writing a fabulous story. But, yep, they've still obviously got to get past Turkey if they are to win this particular playoff semi-final, as Turkey booked their place in the final, beating Romania earlier on today. OK, France are still leading Brazil by a goal to nil in their friendly in Boston in America. Kylian Mbappe goal, the difference, that coming in the first half, but they're just into the early stages of the second half. And we will bring you a South American expert, of course, on all of the nations and how they are gearing up for this World Cup. Tim Vickery will be joining us in this hour. You're listening to Kick Off on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over. Gambleaware.org.
Mo Salah will leave Liverpool on a free this summer. Here's a crazy stat for you. Mo Salah either scored or assisted 37% of the goals Liverpool scored in the last 9 seasons.
Yeah, he's, and I think it was Hugh Wisencroft that said there that the awakening of Liverpool was down to Klopp and Salah. Those two worked in such sync. Klopp made Salah the player that he is, or allowed him to be the player that he is.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at someone in North London who, I'm not comparing Saka to Salah, but if you put that Saka into a Klopp's team, you would see. So Salah's got more goals and assists than Saka.
What you're saying is Arteta's holding back Saka?
Oh, 100%. Liverpool fans, Arsenal fans know that. 100%. That's not up for debate, is it? I'm not opening up a debate here. I'm just stating the fact that Mo Salah's got more goals and assists this season in all comps than Saka.
Mm.
Now, if Klopp had Saka at the time that he was going through that brilliant time at Liverpool, you'd see a totally different Saka. Arteta's getting a different role out of him. There's no way Mohamed Salah would not be the player he is if he played under Arteta. Don't even go there with me.
Okay.
Don't have that argument because I'll fall out with you.
Okay, but I don't think Saka can do what Salah's done.
Well, no. But what I'm trying to get at is that Saka is being held back and doing a job in a different way in the same position.
Mm.
This is Kickoff on talkSPORT, and you are in the company of former England defender Micky Gray, European football expert Kevin Hatchard, and me, Natalie Sawyer, as we take you through until 10, or certainly until the end of the home nations and the Republic of Ireland in their World Cup playoffs. And it's looking good for Ireland. 2-1 they lead in Czechia. Wales are 1-up against Bosnia-Herzegovina, that in Cardiff, and Northern Ireland are a goal down to Italy in Bergamo. But there are around about 15-20 minutes or so still to go in those games. And Kevin Hatchard is keeping across everything that's happening elsewhere, where there have still been goals. Any latest goals that we didn't?
Yes, I'm poised like a coiled spring, Natalie, to tell you.
Yeah,
Sweden 3-0 up against Ukraine. Victor Gyökeres with a hat-trick. Scored a penalty to wrap up that hat-trick, so they're on their way to the final. Denmark are 4-0 up now against North Macedonia. That's Christian Norgard, of course, Brentford's legend.
Well, and I noticed the assist was from Christian Eriksen. It's just a Brentford loving.
Exactly.
As we know with Denmark it is, but go on.
So 4-0 up. And of course, if Republic of Ireland go through, it would be Republic of Ireland, Denmark in the final. So that would be a really interesting one. 1-1 still between Poland and Albania, and Kosovo 4-2 up in Slovakia.
Okay, that runs you through everything that is happening so far. But we've been doing our best to try and keep on track with some of the conversations we wanted to have this evening, in particular on some of the contenders for this upcoming World Cup. So it's giving us a chance to discuss the South American sides, especially now that Brazil are in friendly action this evening as they're taking on France in Boston in the United States. They're a goal down, a Kylian Mbappe goal, the difference still between the two sides. With Uruguay also in action tomorrow as they take on England in a friendly at Wembley. It's also given us the thought of bringing in our South American football expert, Tim Vickery, to give us a little bit more on how these nations are faring ahead of this summer's finals. How are you doing, Tim?
Very well, very well. I've got some news for you.
Oh,
you want some news?
Please.
Upamecano of France has just been sent off. So we're 9 minutes into the second half. France, the better side first half. Mbappe, the goal scorer, as you said. But Brazil have come out storming after the break, and France now down to 10 men with a long, long way to go.
Let's talk about Brazil then. Carlo Ancelotti in charge, as we know, having taken over last year. The qualifying perhaps wasn't as great as some would have expected. They finished fifth in CONMEBOL. There were 10 points, weren't they, off Argentina? How is this Brazil team shaping up, do you think?
Well, they had two coaches before Ancelotti came in who made a right Horlicks of everything. As soon as Ancelotti came in, raising his eyebrow, Roger Moore style, it has spread an element of confidence in the ranks. It is a work in progress. I mean, he's having to whip a team into shape with very, very little time in which to do it. There are things that he's loving. He's loving the love that the Brazilian players have for playing for their national team. Very different from a lot of his experience with Europeans, I think, for whom sometimes it could be a little bit of a drag. So he's loving all of that. It looks like he's going to get a contract extension to the 2030 World Cup. That's how happy he is doing it. And he's going very, very bold. He wants to play with a front four, and they've started off with a front four tonight. The front four, Estevão of Chelsea would be in the starting lineup, but he's injured. So it's been Rafinha, Matheus Cunha, Vini Jr. and Martinelli. Rafinha went off at half-time. In came the Russian-based winger Luis Enrique, who's made a storming start to the second half. It is very, very bold, and it does put a huge strain on Casemiro in the heart of the midfield, someone who's now 34. But when Ancelotti came back, it was the very first thing he did, recalled Casemiro. Casemiro is if you like, an extension of Ancelotti out on the field. So I think he would be pretty happy with the way things are going. He obviously has to deal with the Neymar circus. And without doing anything really yet, there's a huge pressure on him to pick Neymar, bring Neymar back in. He's resisting that so far. The next squad that he picks will be the squad for the World Cup.
Tim, just hold fire for just a moment, because there's been another goal in Bergamo and it looks like it's all over for Northern Ireland. Ian Danta.
Italy 2, Northern Ireland 0, 10 minutes to go, and Sandro Tonali, having scored the first, has assisted with the second. He had it left-hand corner of the penalty area. Not easy ball to control, but he managed to lob the ball from left to right across to Moise Keane, who brought the ball down superbly, just switched inside McConville, the centre-half, and his low left-footed shot kissed the inside of the post on its way in past Piers Charles. Northern Ireland had just made some attacking substitutes. Veteran Josh McGuinness was on, but it appears to be all too late in Bergamo. They're ready to celebrate here in Italy. They're going through to the final, it would appear. Italy 2, Northern Ireland 0.
Ian Danta, thank you very much. So, yes, potentially heartbreak on the cards now for Northern Ireland. Wales still a goal up in their game against Bosnia Herzegovina, and the Republic of Ireland lead Czechia 2-1 in Prague. More on that to come. Let's take you back to Tim Vickery as we are discussing the state of play when it comes to Brazil going into this World Cup. And one of the subjects that we were talking about here in the studio, Tim, is on the number 9, the forward options for Carlo Ancelotti. Me as a Brentford fan, and forgive me for my pronunciation because I know I won't say it right and how they would say it in Brazil, but Igor Thiago. We're absolutely delighted that he got the call up. Do you imagine he could potentially be the answer when it comes to the World Cup?
Right. If they're going to play with this 4, I think that means, and Ancelotti is dividing his strikers, his centre forwards, if you like, into 2 types. One is the out-and-out number 9. Richarlison, Igor Jesus haven't been called up this time, and Igor Thiago is in with a chance of getting one of those slots. But if they go with the 4, then they need a striker, a kind of hybrid of a 9 or 10, who will make the extra man in midfield. Now, that at the moment is Matheus Cunha, who's really put in a shift. João Pedro of Chelsea is the competition to him. And that is also where either Endrick or Neymar could come in. But if there are times in a game where, there's 15 minutes to go and you need a goal, you're going to want that number 9 on the bench. So that number 9, even if they don't start, they got every chance of playing a part in the campaign. It's up now to Igor Thiago to do what he can if he gets on tonight, or against Croatia on Tuesday, and in every training session, because competition is very, very fierce. None of these strikers have scored under Ancelotti. So any of these strikers who manages to get their name on the score sheet has a head start.
Tim, I was just going to ask you about the goalkeeping situation, because Ederson in goal for Brazil in this one. Alisson, of course, one of the world's best goalkeepers, but you look at some of the injury problems he's had. Is that a concern for Brazil?
But Alisson is the undisputed first choice. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. Ederson really tonight hasn't done himself too many favours. And part of this, he's got an absolute rookie defensive line ahead of him, but the kicking has been poor. He's given the ball away in dangerous situations a few times. So there is a chance for the third choice keeper, Bento, who you might remember made his debut pretty well when they beat England at Wembley a couple of years ago. Alisson first choice. I think there's a battle going on for the second choice, who obviously becomes first choice if Alisson is not fit.
Okay, so that's Brazil wrapped up. What about the reigning champions, Argentina, then? Not only are they the World Cup holders, they're back-to-back Copa America winners as well, and kind of eased through qualifying too to get to this World Cup.
Yeah, on the one hand, everything has gone very well for them since Qatar. You know, they won another Copa America, won the World Cup qualification. They were topped by an absolute street. And this I think is very, very important, they've learned to play without Messi. Some of their best performances, and when they demolished Brazil 4-1, Messi wasn't there. They actually proved in the final of the Copa America against Colombia after Messi went off. So Messi is still very, very much part of the thing, but there's not quite the dependence on him that there was before. There are a couple of problems. Firstly, and we have to mention, what they're trying to do has never, ever been done. No one has ever managed to retain the World Cup in a different continent. It's hard enough to retain it. To do it in a different continent, never been done before. A couple of little problems, I think. One is it's the same defensive unit as Qatar. No new defenders have really come through. That defensive unit nearly collapsed under pressure in almost every knockout round of the World Cup. You would think with an extra knockout round this time, they might pay a price for that. The other little problem is Di Maria. Irreplaceable. And he's retired from international football, and he's the best player in domestic Argentine game at the moment, but he won't come back, or at least he says that so far. How do you replace a player like that, who's so versatile, a great player without the ego of a great player, and always comes up good on the big occasion? And there was a hope that Garnacho might be the man. He hasn't come through at all. None of these questions are really being tested. Since the World Cup qualification campaign finished, they have played Venezuela, Puerto Rico, Angola. Now, they were supposed to have been playing Spain in the finalissimo this time around, the champions of Europe against the champions of South America. That game was due to take place in Qatar. Obviously, because of the situation in that part of the world, it couldn't. The game won't go ahead. Really, Argentina didn't want it. They wanted it last year, but Spain were never available. Argentina didn't want to place their prestige as world champions on the line so close to the World Cup. So what they've done, on Argentina then negotiated, can we find an alternate venue for the finalissima? Argentina negotiated in such a way that it wasn't going to happen. So they had to find something else to do. So they got the players back in Buenos Aires, and it has been, as my old man would have said, a bit of a Fred Carno affair, because they have the biggest capacity stadium in South America, River Plate's ground, but they can't use it because AC/DC are playing gigs there. So they got to use Boca Juniors Stadium, which has only half the capacity. They fixed up a game against Guatemala, but they couldn't do it because Guatemala are already playing another friendly against Algeria in a different continent, and FIFA dates won't let you play two friendlies in different continents. So that fell through. So what they've got instead is tomorrow night they face Mauritania, and on Tuesday they face a very, very raw Zambia side, meaning then that their preparation to do what has never been done before since qualifying is Venezuela, Puerto Rico, Angola, Mauritania, Zambia. That is very, very unconventional.
It sounds it, Tim. Thank you for the explanation as well. Tim, I've got to say goodbye because there are goals for us to update everybody on, but thank you very much for joining us. Let's take you to Cardiff. There's been a goal. Lawrence Mora.
And it's Wales 1, Bosnia 1. It is the evergreen Edin Dzeko who has got it. We said all evening that the height advantage of Bosnia would cause Wales problems from set pieces, and so it proved. It was a corner on the left-hand side, whipped in. He was big and strong, brushed away his marker, and Dzeko got up ahead of Karl Darlow's punch to flick the ball, and it nestled into the far corner of the net. Moments ago as well, then we had Demirovic as well. A ball whipped in from the right-hand side. It's gone beyond Joe Roden, and between Demirovic's legs as he's raced in. Wales are on the edge here. They're absolutely rocking, and it is Wales 1 in the 89th minute. It's Wales 1, Bosnia-Herzegovina 1.
Lawrence, thank you. There's been a goal too in Prague. Mark Wilson.
Yes, the equaliser, Czechia 2, Republic of Ireland 2, and it came just moments after Troy Parrott almost put the Republic 3-1 up, but the goal came from a free kick right by the corner flag for Czechia. It was whipped in. Krejci, who's had joy from corners earlier on, he's actually facing away from goal inside the 6-yard box. He's tried to backhead it, it's hit the back of his head, and it's gone right in the corner of the goal, giving Kelleher no chance. That levelled up at 2-2, but up the other end, 80 minutes in, O'Shea, a long throw, he flicked it on Parrott header, and what a save from Kovacs, going right in the top corner. Somehow he got there to claw it away. We've got just under 2 minutes remaining here in Prague. Czechia 2, Republic of Ireland 2.
Oh, extra time then potentially looming in Prague, looming in Cardiff as well, and Northern Ireland are bowing out, it feels, as well in Bergamo. They are still 2-0 down to Italy. France are 2-0 up in their game against Brazil as well. It's all happening, and we'll run you through all the latest scores in just a few minutes here on Kickoff.
Think about it. The only person that's not going to lose anything out of this deal is Mo Salah. And when he signs a 2-year contract and got himself a new contract and got himself the highest paid and one of the highest paid players in the Premier League, it was because Liverpool managed to achieve, or probably on his behalf, a 2-year deal that they didn't particularly want. I think they wanted a 1-year deal. And when we heard Virgil van Dijk, the caller was talking about the commentary of Virgil van Dijk and Mo Salah, what we heard was a load of old rubbish from Virgil van Dijk and Mo Salah about how they'd heard nothing from the club, no one had spoken to them, no one had given them any indications, all that nonsense, because clearly agents would have been speaking to the club. What they hadn't heard at that time is, yes, you can have precisely what you want. That's what they hadn't heard at that particular time. So when we use that as part of the architecture of a conversation to justify people's behaviour...
No, I think you're right there. I don't think they did come out and say, I'm staying. They didn't. He's got it wrong. They actually did play the game.
Of course they did. So in this instance, when you look at Mo Salah has orchestrated a circumstance where he engineered a contract as a result of his previous worth, that Liverpool gave him enormous amounts of money. He hasn't turned up until his outburst. He then had an outburst. It's orchestrated this outcome. And as a result of that outburst, if you follow the line dots and probably join them up, Liverpool are the ones that are going to lose out on a player that they've paid 400 grand a week for that has barely turned up this season, that has got a longer-term contract that was designed to protect their interests, which has done the polar opposite, and has got them out of a transfer fee. And the only person that will not be 1 single cent out of pocket in any shape or form, performance-wise or value-wise, is Mohamed Salah.
Yes, this is Kick-Off here on talkSPORT, and you're in the company of European football expert Kevin Hatchard, former England defender Micky Gray, and me, Natalie Sawyer. And it's all over in Bergamo, so let's bring you that full-time report as Italy took on Northern Ireland. Ian Danta.
Finished Italy 2, Northern Ireland 0. So Michael O'Neill's side bow out at this semi-final stage, and Italy are through to the playoff Path A final. But it took the Italians nearly an hour to break down Northern Ireland's stubborn resistance. Indeed, the Italians were jeered off by a few in the stadium at half-time when it was goalless. Northern Ireland's defenders Hume and McNair and McConville had put their head on pretty much everything that the Italians had thrown into the box, and it looked an impressive rearguard action, whilst not creating a great deal down the other end. But then, just shy of the hour mark, Italy got their noses in front. Ball from the right-hand side was cleared by a header outside the area, straight to Newcastle United's Sandro Tonali, and he crashed home a right-footed half-volley along the deck and into the net, beating Piers Charles, the young Northern Irish goalkeeper. Northern Ireland tried to make attacking substitutions, and just after they brought on Josh McGuinness and Jamie Reid to try and draw level, Italy got a second. Tonali assisted, lobbing the ball across from left to right to pick out Moise Keane in the box, stepped inside his defender and very quickly unleashed a left-footed shot that kissed the inside of the post on the way in. So huge disappointment for the Green and White Army, but Italy march into the final. Full-time score in Bergamo, Italy 2, Northern Ireland 0.
Ian, thank you very much. And Italy, of course, now await the winners of the game in Cardiff between Wales and Bosnia-Herzegovina. Lawrence Mora.
Where it has finished, Wales 1, Bosnia-Herzegovina 1. What a second half. And it was all after Dan James lit the blue touch paper on 51 minutes, lashing home right-footed, a stunning drive from the right-hand side of the penalty area that flew past the goalkeeper into the back of the net. And Wales, for long periods, looked like that was going to be enough. But the game became a bit of a basketball match. There were chances at both ends. Dan James hitting the bar. Carl Darlow then having to pull off a stunning save from Demirovic, a header in the middle of the penalty area. And then 86 minutes when Edin Dzeko, 40 years old, was found at the front post. For the first time he managed to lose his marker, wrestle free and flick his header into the far corner of the net. There were chances, Wales under the cosh late on, and the substitutions that have been made by Craig Bellamy haven't quite worked yet, and Wales are going to have to take some deep breaths. They're going to have to go again, because Bosnia finished that on top, and they will be fancying their chances. Wow. We're going all the way here at the Cardiff City Stadium. We're going to extra time. It's Wales 1, Bosnia-Herzegovina 1.
Lawrence, thank you very much. Let's check in with what's happened in Prague as well, with Czechia facing Republic of Ireland. Mark Wilson.
Yeah, it's going to extra time here as well. Czechia 2, Republic of Ireland 2, and the Republic of Ireland really have thrown this one away. They led 2-0. Troy Parrott with a penalty on 17 minutes after Collins was fouled. And when Matreskova, the goalkeeper, turned into his own net at 2-0, the Republic were in good shape. But they gave away a needless free kick shortly after that second goal went in. Patrick Schick converted from the spot to make it 2-1. Czechia made changes as they chased the game. One decent Kelleher save right at the start of the second half, but Malumbi hit the post for the Republic with a shot from the edge of the box, and then Parrott was denied by a wonderful Kovar save on 80 minutes. And then just as we were going into the final few minutes, Czechia with a free kick whipped in, and there was Ladislav Krejci, the Wolves defender. He was facing away from goal but managed to backhead the ball into the net in the corner, gave Kelleher no chance, and we go into extra time. Czechia made a host of changes. Republic of Ireland have still got quite a few changes up their sleeve. Will that pay dividends as we're going to add it on into extra time? It's Czechia 2, Republic 2.
Oh my goodness, another half hour at least then to go in these games. And don't forget, of course, that the winner of that one in Prague will face Denmark.
Yes.
That's after their, big win over North Macedonia.
4-0 they've won. They had to wait until the early part of the second half. Mikkel Damsgaard put Denmark in front. Then Gustav Isaksen, who'd been involved in the first goal, the Lazio winger, he scored twice in the space of a minute. And then Christian Norgard completed the Brentford loving by making it 4-0. Of course, now of Arsenal, formerly of Brentford, Christian Eriksen pulling the strings as well.
I feel like I'm the only one making it a Brentford loving, but, that's fine.
Well, we can join in with that. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. Denmark went through. Elsewhere, Ukraine have been beaten by Sweden. Graham Potter's Sweden. A Victor Gyökeres hat-trick helping Sweden to a 3-1 win. Ukraine got a consolation goal at the end, but Sweden have gone through. Kosovo, extraordinary win for them. 4-3 winners away at Slovakia. Twice behind Kosovo were, but on the hour they went in front through Florent Muslia with a free kick, and then Kreshnik Hayrizi with what turned out to be the winner. David Strelets of Middlesbrough scored deep into stoppage time for Slovakia, but it was too little too late. That means Kosovo will play Turkey, because earlier today Turkey beat Romania by a 1-0. So Kosovo will have home advantage as they play Turkey for a place at the World Cup final.
Yes, and they're playing for a place in Group D, which would be against the USA, Paraguay, and Australia as well. So we are going into extra time, as we've mentioned, in the games involving the Republic of Ireland and Wales as well. We are going to stay on, aren't you lucky, to keep you right up to date with everything that is happening, of course, in these games. But a word on Northern Ireland, I suppose. 2-0 the defeat in the end for them in Italy. And as we mentioned, they got into the playoffs through the Nations League, having won their section that they were in. And at the end of the day, it took until the second half for Italy to get the breakthrough. I'm trying to pick out some positives maybe for Northern Ireland.
I know. Well, you don't look at the stats if you want positives, Natalie. It's kind of one of them games where they had to sit back in and look, they defended really well for a certain time, but it was always when Italy were going to get that first goal, and when it came, it was backs against the wall. And I think then the problem you've got is because you're defensively minded, you try and advance some of your defenders, or your wing backs push a little bit further forward and you start leaving gaps. And that second goal came, and I think that was it. It was always going to be difficult after that. And it was another player that used to play in the Premier League, in Kane, Moises Keane, who's got the goal for them as well, who Seamus Coleman, unfortunately, he knows very well. But it's just a shame, isn't it, for Northern Ireland? It's been a wonderful journey for them. They've had a big opportunity tonight, but I think you probably would have maybe expected Italy to win that one, but unfortunately they're going to have to try again.
Full time in Warsaw, Poland have gone through. They had to come from behind to beat Albania 2-1. Arba Hoxha had put Albania in front, but Robert Lewandowski equalised, and then Piotr Zielinski got the winner. The funny thing there is that Lewandowski actually walked away from international duty with Poland after a massive falling out with the previous coach, because Lewandowski had the captaincy stripped away from him to give it to Zielinski, and those two have scored tonight. So Lewandowski back in the fold under a new coach, Jan Urban. Looked as though they might be heading out, but they've dug deep and gone through. They now go to Sweden in that final. So Sweden-Poland, one of those finals.
Wow. Okay. And this is all happening on Tuesday, where Adrian Durham and the team, of course, will keep you updated on everything that happens. And extra time has now begun in Cardiff and in Prague as well. So you won't miss a thing with us as we continue to update you on the progress of Wales and the Republic of Ireland, with a place, of course, at the World Cup at stake as they both try to book their place, at least, in the World Cup playoff final on Tuesday. Okay, that gives us a little bit of time to sort of breathe and to talk maybe on a subject I really wanted to get to with you, Micky Gray. Something, again, that we spoke about before we came on air, the number 10 role for England.
Yeah.
And how on earth Thomas Tuchel is perhaps going to whittle it down to the choices that he has. When you look at the England squad as it is, you've got Jude Bellingham in there, Morgan Rogers, Phil Foden. I know Eze, of course, was called up. You could suggest he's a number 10, of course, in this as well. Cole Palmer as well. I mean, how many number 10s can he take?
Yeah, this is the problem, isn't it? I think when you do get to the World Cup, or Thomas Tuchel naming his squad, I think this is probably going to be the biggest story, because somebody can't go. And the two that I would say that are in jeopardy of not going are, for me, is Cole Palmer or Phil Foden. Now, Phil's, and I watch Man City a lot this season. Obviously, Phil hasn't been getting in the team over the last couple of months. Phil's not shown the form that he did at the beginning of the season when he got 7 goals in his first 10 or 11 games of the season. He's not been involved in, I know they're out now, but he wasn't involved as much in the Champions League as he would have liked. Nico O'Reilly was probably playing in a position where you would find Phil Foden. And I think Phil knows himself. He will do, individually. He'll have to, keep that to himself, obviously. But he needs a quick turn in form in the remaining games. And I don't think he's going to get the opportunity. I really don't. Which is going to be a shame because he's got so much talent. But when you see Morgan Rogers, you see Jude Bellingham, and you see, who's the other one I'm thinking of? Cole Palmer. And as you mentioned there as well, Eze. They've just been better than this season. And his form has dipped at probably the worst time for Phil Foden. Look, I might be wrong, but I don't think I'm going to. I think if one player is going to get left behind, I think it will be Phil Foden.
I mean, the other issue, of course, for Phil Foden is when it comes to England, he doesn't necessarily perform to the level that has been expected of in the past as well. That's not to say that's a factor that Thomas Tuchel, of course, is going to bring into this, because it might just all be about the now for him. But you've covered the Manchester teams, obviously, with your role up there. Can you put your finger on what's gone wrong for Phil Foden?
Not necessarily, no. I really can't. I think you're right in mentioning and bringing up his England form, because I think if you talk to any Manchester City supporter, they'd say he's never been played in the right position more than 2 or 3 times in his international career. He's always kind of been drifted over to the right-hand side, or whether he's been used as a left-hand side of midfield player. I think Phil Foden is better as a 10. Now, there's obviously better players in that position right now than Phil Foden. His form for Man City, a couple of seasons ago, he was Premier League Player of the Season, wasn't he, when he was there? Yeah. I mean, he's an incredible player, and you just look at his trophy cabinet, he's won the lot. He's a sensational player, and he's going to be at Man City for many, many years to come. But when you watch Phil Foden play, I don't know if the weight's on his shoulders, if maybe the expectation of him having to then turn around to be the new Kevin De Bruyne. I don't know. But of late, it's just not happening for him, whether Pep's gone in a different direction with the style that he's playing or not. But Phil Foden's form has got to improve, and it hasn't.
The thing that might save him is actually what we were talking about before, about the centre-forward options. Because he might decide, actually, I don't want any of them. I might put Foden in there as a false 9, or have him, doing damage in a different way. You talked, Micky, earlier on about Harry Kane. Well, there's no point trying to put somebody in there who's exactly like Harry Kane. Well, Foden obviously interprets the game in a different way, picks up those pockets between the lines. He's difficult to pin down, and technically he's an incredible footballer. So it's whether Tuchel looks at it and says, do you know what? In the last 20 minutes of a game, if we need a goal, he's somebody that could maybe make something happen. So, again, it's going to come down to pragmatism. It's going to come down to the profiles that he feel will best suit him at the World Cup.
It's amazing that we're actually having this conversation about somebody like Phil Foden. When you think about when he burst on the scene in the couple of seasons that he had, we were talking about Phil Foden as maybe becoming the Ballon d'Or, the best player in the world. But for one reason or another, he's picked up a couple of little niggling injuries. But the problem is, and this is Thomas Tuchel's problem, is he's got that many players. And I'm talking about the number 10 now, Kevin. I'm going back to the number 10. I'm not talking about as a striker. Personally, I don't see him as a striker, or the false number 9, if you like. I think there's more or better options in that position. Marcus Rashford, I think Bellingham could play as that false number 9 as well.
He's played further forward for Real Madrid. Yeah. It's worked really well.
And Thomas Tuchel's watching them. He's watching every week. If he's not watching, somebody's watching them. And the time that Phil Foden is getting on the pitch at the moment is not enough. And when he is coming on the pitch, he's not setting it alight like he was at the beginning of the season.
There's also the option, I suppose, Cole Palmer can play on the right as well. We're talking about the versatility of players that I think is a massive plus for Thomas Tuchel, for any manager, of course. If you can put players in certain positions, and it's sometimes when you're pigeonholed as just one set role, which, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with that in the sense of...
It used to be that way.
Well, of course it did, absolutely. But that, again, comes into your thinking, well, if I have Cole Palmer as my number 10, but he can also play on the right, that's another option that you're thinking, well, maybe I have to leave out, and I don't know. It's really difficult, isn't it? I'm trying to think. You could leave out Eze, but then Eze can play on a wing too. So it's a tricky one.
I'd want Palmer in my squad because I think he's a big game player. I think he's a guy that, I know the nickname and Cold Palmer and all of that, but it's there for a reason because he does deliver under pressure and he can deliver under pressure. And I think, he's been outstanding in a Chelsea team that I think's a mess. I think he's delivered in that Conference League final. He's delivered in the Club World Cup final. He's delivered for England in big games. I would find it difficult to accept him not being in that squad at all, if I'm honest.
Okay. Well, what I'll do is I'll give you a few minutes to think about then who you are going to have to axe, because we can't take them all. That's the problem. But let's check in with what's happening then with these playoffs that have gone into extra time. Let's take you first of all to the game in Cardiff. It's Wales against Bosnia-Herzegovina. Lawrence Mora.
Wales 1, Bosnia-Herzegovina 1. Nails being bitten all around the Cardiff City Stadium in this first period of extra time. The first big chance, though, went to Wales, and of all people, it fell to Harry Wilson. Sorba Thomas whipping the ball in from the left. Mark Harris, a fabulous little touch behind him. Set up Wilson in the middle of the goal, around the edge of the penalty area. It was on his right foot. He checked to his left, and that just gave the defence time to get back, and his left foot shot was then headed clear by Moharamovic to clear it away and keep Bosnia level. At the other end, there has been a chance for Demirovic, but Joe Rodon going level with him and Demirovic firing into the side netting. It is tense stuff here in the Welsh capital, and with 10 minutes gone in the first period of extra time, it is Wales 1, Bosnia-Herzegovina 1.
You can sense the nerves. Are there nerves as well in Prague, where it's Czechia against the Republic of Ireland? Mark Wilson.
Yeah, there certainly are. We've had 10 minutes here of the extra time period. It's still Czechia 2, Republic of Ireland 2, but the Czechia players are surrounding the referee at the moment. They're appealing for a penalty. It comes after a shot from distance from the edge of the box from the Czechia player. I'll tell you what, there could be trouble here for the Republic of Ireland, because the Republic defender jumps, got his arm at his side. Does look like it hits the outstretched arm here, so there is going to be, I think VAR will be looking at this in the background. It is 2-2. Czechia just had a great chance as well. Thomas Souček on as a substitute. Ball crossed in from the right side, 10 yards out. He's tried to side foot volley it, and he's put it over the top. Really should have hit the target, but VAR is checking this one out right now. Did look like the Republic defender, it's Malumbi it was. He had his arms raised. They were by his side, but they were in an upwards position rather than down by his side, and VAR is checking this out. Nervy moments. Republic led by 2-0. It's now 2-2, and VAR is taking a good look at this, and given the one that was given in the first half, well, having just seen the replay now, it might be that Malumbi was right on the edge of the box, so it might not be a penalty. It has definitely hit his arm, but I think he might be just on the 18-yard line and out of the box, so the referee will have a look at it. They've not given it, thankfully for the Republic. Hanging on a little bit here. Czechia 2, Republic 2.
Mark, thank you very much. I mean, you should be in the VAR. You were very quick. It's outside the box, you said straight away from the first moment.
That's my defender's head on there. Straight away, I'm outside the box, ref. That's exactly what you're saying. But no, I did see the strike come in. And look, this is another one of those where, I know Mark's obviously, he's cleared that up really well there, I have to say, but it's one of those ones that I think in the Premier League, let's say, for instance, Natalie was in the box. He's turned his back on it and it's hit his elbow as he's facing his own goal. I'm not quite sure that would have been given in the Premier League as a penalty. I don't know if you agree with that, Kevin, but I think, we're talking
it's certainly not outstretched, is it?
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah. It's by his side. It's not in a unnatural position. But I think because he turns his back and it's close to his side, I think if he was in the box, I'm not quite sure, but this is a different kettle of fish we're talking about.
I think in Europe, and it annoys me that this is the case, I think in Europe they give that if it's in the box. And I'll tell you why. He does turn his back. You're absolutely right. I think what happens is it flicks the elbow that he's tucked in, but the backhand is out. And it flicks the elbow and it hits the backhand. Gotcha. My suspicion is if he was in the box there, a European ref probably gives that. If they look again, I think the VAR team would say, go and have another look. They'd have a look and they'd probably give it. So the fact he's outside the box is absolutely key there.
We're debating it for no reason other than just for fun.
No, but it's an interesting point because it irritates me no end because, especially in Spain and Italy, they're constantly just looking to give a penalty for handball.
A lower threshold then.
Crackers, yeah. It's just not necessary. But if there's one thing they need to change, it is the handball, because we're seeing far too many penalties given for it.
Yeah, certainly so. Can I just for one moment continue the Brentford loving?
Of course.
Igor Thiago is a Brazilian international.
Wonderful.
He's come on.
And they did get a goal back as well against the 10 men. Bremer scored. So he
it
pulled
wasn't
one back.
Thiago, but 2-1 it is now.